Chapter 1476. The Green Demon King said. Ladies and gentlemen, much of Io's provinces have already fallen, and more supreme mages are forsaking the darkness for the light, joining our ranks to overthrow the supreme archmage. Therefore, we've decided that in 3 years, we will launch a full assault on Chaos City. At that time, the barbarian tribes, the demon race, leaders of all realms, and all the supreme mages will gather at Chaos City to wage the ultimate battle against the supreme archmage. The Thunderbolt Supreme Mage said. Indeed, we were born trapped in this heaven and earth prison, and the supreme archmage is the warden of this prison. Under the guise of divinity, he supervises us all. Only by slaying the supreme archmage can we, like the foreigners, attain freedom and perhaps have a chance to glimpse the level 7 realm. The level 6 experts' emotions surged, they stood tall and saw far. Influenced by the foreigners, they also gained some understanding of the true situation of their world. Io, the cage that imprisoned them. Here. The history of the humans, the demon race, and the barbarian tribes was spun meaninglessly in cycles under the manipulation of an invisible, massive hand. They yearned to break free and witness the vastness of the universe. The supreme archmage was at the core. During this meeting's interval, the Blood Dharma King and the Thunderbolt Supreme Mage were discussing how to catch that damned demon dragon and tear it to pieces. Both of them had fallen victim to the demon dragon. One had lost his wife, brother, and disciple when the sealing of the totem spirit was lifted. The other had his sub-dragon stolen and his own power destroyed. The relationship between the Blood Banquet Dharma King and the Thunderbolt Supreme Mage was already good, and now, as fellow sufferers, they truly sympathized with each other. Not far away, in the barracks, the ancient demon generals were drinking and chatting. A mind flayer said loudly with a gossipy expression. Have you heard? There's a foreigner on our Io continent who obtained a live pureblood dragon egg. His colleagues were shocked. What? A pureblood dragon egg? Are you serious? The mind flayer sighed. I've controlled some foreigners, and it's almost certain it's true. Damn, these foreigners really have some insane luck, always stumbling upon good things. His colleague said. We should inform Lord Demon King so he can seize that egg. The pureblood dragon clan, if we were to hatch and demonize it into a dragon abomination, our demon race's strength would definitely surpass the other two races by tenfold 1,000 years from now. The mind flayer said. It's said that the foreigner is using the pureblood dragon egg as a wager, inviting the three-headed dragon demon to a peak battle challenge. His colleague said. Did the three-headed dragon demon agree? That must be a trap, even a fool could see it. The mind flayer said. You're overestimating the demon dragon's intelligence. In fact, the demon dragon has agreed, and it's set to happen at Heavenly King Mountain. His colleague asked. Heavenly King Mountain? The divine mountain in central Io that stands 48,000 meters tall, known as the highest peak on Io. The mind flayer said. Yet. If things aren't too intense at that time, I would actually like to go see what happens. His colleague said. I'd like to see what a legendary pureblood dragon egg looks like too. Unintentionally said, but significantly heard. When the Blood Banquet Dharma King first heard about the pureblood dragon egg, he was intrigued, the Thunderbolt Supreme Mage felt the same. But then they thought about the multitude of urgent matters upcoming. Considering that foreigners are often full of schemes, and that acquiring the pureblood dragon egg would not be easy. Moreover, for the dragon of the pureblood dragon clan to mature, it could take thousands or even tens of thousands of years. By then, they would long be dust. Thus, neither of them deliberated over it too much. However, upon hearing that the challenger was the three-headed dragon demon and that it had actually accepted the challenge, both archmages couldn't help but become enraged. The Thunderbolt Supreme Mage indifferently said. Blood Banquet, are you willing to venture with me to Heavenly King Mountain? The Blood Banquet Dharma King sinisterly smiled. True or not, a look wouldn't hurt. But if we do obtain that pureblood dragon egg, how shall we divide it? The Thunderbolt Supreme Mage said. The dragon egg obviously can't be divided. Once we deal with the demon dragon, we'll each rely on our own abilities. The Blood Banquet Dharma King said. Agreed. At this time, the Green Demon King approached, frowning, and said. Are you two really planning to get involved in this mess at Heavenly King Mountain? You both know the cunning of the foreigners. The Blood Banquet sneered. You haven't been humiliated by the demon dragon, you don't understand our hatred. Besides, with Thunderbolt and me teaming up, in Io, aside from the Supreme Archmage, who could hold us back? Those foreigners don't have that kind of strength. Before absolute power, schemes and plots are all illusions. The Green Demon King thought for a moment and said, I understand, but I just wanted to remind you both that our upcoming great undertaking requires your full efforts. Before that, I don't want anyone dropping the ball. The Thunderbolt Supreme Mage chuckled. No need for the Demon King to worry about us. We'll definitely be there for the great battle 3 years from now. After speaking, the Thunderbolt Supreme Mage and the Blood Banquet Dharma King left Maka City. As the main city of Baka Province, this place was perennially guarded by more than 10 archmages. Over the city, a colossal array enveloped everything, and each archmage looked gravely toward the horizon. An endless surge of demonic aura rose up, forming black clouds that oppressed the city, creating a suffocating atmosphere. On the plains, warriors of the demon race, fully armed, formed combat arrays. In the void, mighty level 5 ancient demons stood suspended in midair. Chapter 1477. The leader was a 5-level peak demon with the classic appearance of a demon, complete with goat horns. Balrog, the flame demon. To the right of Balrog, the flame demon, stood a twisted demonic figure with a shadowy, ethereal form. It stood 30 feet tall with indistinct facial features and a pair of wings on its back, casting darkness wherever it went. This was the shadow ancient demon mentioned by the Mind Flayers, a shadow demon close to the peak of level 5. Balrog, the flame demon, looked up to the sky and roared. Demon warriors! Kill! If we take Maka City, we can push directly to the central province and march straight into Chaos City. After speaking, he led the charge, revealing a giant flame demon true body towering 100 meters tall, capable of stirring up magma and wielding flames with every move. The shadow demon spread its wings, casting shadows over the wilderness as the light gradually faded. Ki, feel the fear of being dominated by the shadows. The great battle began. The demon warriors' murderous aura scattered the dark clouds. The archmages defending the city resisted tenaciously, relying on the city's arrays. At the edge of the battlefield, the Holy Infant calmly observed and muttered to himself. What an intense battle! After speaking, sparks flew from the extreme fire wheel beneath his feet as he traversed through the void and vanished from sight. The shadow ancient demon let out a strange cackle, slaughtering its foes with its shadow spell abilities. Suddenly, the void behind it split open, and a handsome figure in a red robe stepped out. His gaze was profound, his expression indifferent. With a wave of his hand, he summoned a fiery red ring that transformed into a revolving dragon. Caught off guard, the shadow ancient demon was instantly bound and controlled. Who dares to ambush me? It demanded furiously. Before the words fell, the dark clouds in the sky, formed by the boundless demonic aura, suddenly dissipated into nothingness. A massive ancient umbrella surged with heat, its canopy covering miles as it descended magnificently. 9 Dragon Tribulation. From the edge of the umbrella, 9 streamers with 9 fire-breathing dragon heads emerged. Roar! Accompanied by the sky-shattering sound of dragon roars, an earth-shaking explosion spread across the land. The shadow ancient demon's face twisted in shock and fear. In an instant, its demonic true form was obliterated. It didn't even have the chance to flee into the shadow dimension for safety and was killed on the spot. The streamers from the ancient umbrella gathered a crystal core and delivered it into the hands of the Holy Infant. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Then Balrog, the flame demon, came to his senses. He punched out, unleashing a mile-long river of flames, aiming for the Holy Infant. The Holy Infant sneered. Foolish! The Purgatory 9 Dragon umbrella snapped shut, encasing him at its center. The 9 streamers elongated, spinning like drills and shattered the river of flames into nothingness. Then, the streamers pierced through the void, and the Holy Infant stepped in, departing gracefully as his voice echoed. Gentlemen, carry on! In an instant, he was already hundreds of miles away, then swiftly turned into a streak of firelight and departed. All of this flowed as smoothly as drifting clouds and flowing water, incredibly slick. With the Holy Infant's perfection-level spiritual force, paired with the Holy Infant's 3 treasures, he already possessed top-level combat power under the 6th circle. In the midst of thousands of troops, taking the life of an enemy general as easily as retrieving something from one's pocket. Latterly, as he watched his foe retreat, rage filled Balrog, the flame demon. To have been played to such an extent by a foreigner, when he himself was a level 5 peak demon, was an immense disgrace. Moreover, to have his subordinate killed before his eyes, what greater humiliation could there be? On the other side, the archmages were overjoyed. Regardless of the foreigners' purpose, they had profited in the end. Counterattack. Over a month later, on Dragon Palace Island, the Holy Infant descended from the heavens like a meteor. Levi had long been waiting there for his arrival. The Holy Infant handed over a beautifully lustrous pitch-black crystal core. A shadow demon crystal core of very fine quality, sufficient for crafting a shadow avatar. Next, we need to find the host god fruit. Locating the host god fruit wouldn't be so easy, and Levi could only leave it to fate. Recently, he had brazenly accepted a challenge from the thunder of mankind. The battle was set for the Holy Brilliance calendar year 1229 during the month of beginning. The chosen location was at Io's tallest peak, Heavenly King Mountain. Of course, he wouldn't foolishly confront the challenge head-on. Levi had indirectly communicated the news to the Blood Banquet Dharma King and Thunderbolt Supreme Mage, who bore bone-deep hatred for him, through the Mind Flayers. He believed the temptation of the pure-blood dragon egg and the three-headed dragon demon would surely draw the two Dharma Kings to Heavenly King Mountain. Considering that Torque boldly challenged him knowing full well that Roman had been slain by the three-headed dragon abomination, he must have a level 6 trump card up his sleeve. Thus, Levi planned to let the Thunderbolt Supreme Mage and the Blood Banquet Dharma King scout out the situation. If a great battle between the Dharma Kings and the Thunder Divine Hall were to erupt, he might be able to benefit from the chaos. If not, he wouldn't lose much. The worst case would be that, despite accepting the challenge, he didn't show up and was labeled untrustworthy and denounced by wizards, united in their contempt. For an evil dragon abomination like himself, committing such treachery was fitting. Currently, there was still half a year until the battle at Heavenly King Mountain. Less than 2 years remained until the Heaven Crystal Dragon ants would shed their shells. And according to information from the Mind Flayers, assuming nothing unexpected happened, the demon and barbarian tribes planned to launch their final assault on Chaos City 3 years hence, on the 66th year after the opening of the Dark Ancient Tower. The Io continent was on the verge of a revolutionary upheaval. Regarding this, Levi thought, I'll continue to cultivate experience. Among his 6 major breathing techniques, the Inferno Dragon breathing technique was not far from advancing to level 17. As usual, he intended to focus on this particular challenge. Aiming to ascend the Inferno Dragon to level 5 before the Ancient Tower closed, he hoped to see if it could develop any powerful abilities. Chapter 1478. Cultivation knows no years, and in the blink of an eye, it was the year 1229 of the Holy Brilliance calendar, the month of beginning. This marked the 64th year since the opening of the Dark Ancient Tower era. Over the past half year, Levi had made some progress in his research into the Romantic Ring. With a bit more time, he would be able to break the restriction array on it. Looking out over Io, the battles among the demon race, barbarian tribes, and empires continued unabated, with provinces falling one after another beneath internal strife and external threats. In the meantime, among the foreigners, aside from the wizard civilization, the majority of the powerful alien race civilizations had been eliminated. In contrast, some of the smaller alien civilizations, due to their low-profile conduct, had the last laugh. A peak battle to compete for the title of the strongest beneath the primordial soul of Io was about to unfold atop Heavenly King Mountain, Io's highest peak. Io, which had been silent for a while, was once again buzzing with excitement. One after another, figures daring in skill and courage had already hidden themselves in the vicinity of Heavenly King Mountain, intending to witness the supreme battle. Central Io. Heavenly King Mountain. Such was the height of the mountain that clouds could only drift at its base, with the summit piercing directly into the wind disaster stratum above the skies. Suddenly, in the wind disaster stratum, lightning flickered. A figure clad in thunderclap battle armor and wielding a top-grade thunder god's witch hammer descended majestically in the form of the thunder god. His gaze was piercing, his voice thunderous, and in his hands appeared a massive pure-blood dragon egg. Three-headed dragon abomination, I, Torque, shall await you on Heavenly King Mountain for 7 days. If you do not show yourself within that time, it will mean that you admit you are not my match and choose to avoid the battle. Torque's voice was like a tidal wave, spreading in all directions with the help of the wind disaster stratum. The eyes hidden in the shadows were all filled with anticipation. Will the three-headed dragon abomination accept the challenge? It should, considering it has publicly taken a stance. If it doesn't come, wouldn't it lose all face? If it doesn't show up, then it doesn't deserve to be called the strongest under the primordial soul, but merely a wretch that relies on a woman to live. Exactly. Torque placed the pure-blood dragon egg at the summit of the mountain, sat cross-legged in mid-air, and waited quietly, exuding a powerful aura. Around Heavenly King Mountain, figures of wizards quietly watched the scene. Even on a giant tree, 4 bearman figures with simple and honest appearances curiously observed the summit of Heavenly King Mountain. Behind them, a bearman wearing a plain hemp robe calmly said, "Pay close attention to the upcoming battle, witness the power of wizard civilization, and always maintain humility and a desire to progress." In the wilderness, a grey-robed wizard hid, none other than Levi. His face bore a puzzled expression. "It's really a pure-blood dragon egg, and by the looks of it, it doesn't seem to be dead. What's going on here?" For some unknown reason, despite the great distance, he felt an inexplicable sense of kinship and familiarity coming from that egg. Inside him, the Death Ember Divine Palace trembled slightly, spraying ash. The Death Ember Dragon Seed opened its eyes amidst the ruins. In an instant, Levi had an epiphany, his heart growing somewhat heated. This pure-blood dragon egg. It's actually left by an ash dragon. Afterwards, he calmed down. Whether it's an ash dragon or not, there's definitely something off with this egg, otherwise the lightning school of thought wouldn't use it as bait. 3 days later. The Dark Ancient Tower, 5th level. At the summit of Heavenly King Mountain. Boom! The sky roared with endless might of thunder. Torque sat there alone, his bearing godlike as he proclaimed with a loud laugh. "It seems this 3-headed dragon abomination is nothing special after all. It hasn't dared to face me, the thunder of mankind. I established this ring with no intention of vying with the dragon abomination for fame or gain. I only wanted to prove that we, the wizards, are truly the most excellent." In secret, dissatisfaction simmered in the wizards' hearts. What's going on with this dragon abomination? Could it have lost its way? What happened to the promised great battle? Maybe it's already here but retreated quietly after seeing Torque's formidable strength. That would be good too. In 4 more days, if the dragon abomination still doesn't dare to battle, then it would amount to an automatic loss. The strongest under the ancient tower soul will then be Lord Victor from our lightning school of thought. As time passed, 3 more days went by. The 7-day deadline set by Torque had arrived. In the intervening period, some underhanded types had attempted to steal the pure-blood dragon egg and were easily slain by Torque. This top-level prodigy with 5th circle perfection was indeed formidable. In the distance, the Blood Banquet Dharma King and the Thunderbolt Supreme Mage looked serious. The Blood Banquet Dharma King said, "Damn it, this demon dragon is avoiding the battle and breaking its word." The Thunderbolt Supreme Mage spoke coldly. "My guess is that the demon dragon wants to try some trickery. According to some intelligence I've gathered, the dragon seems to have done something significant recently among the foreigners, alongside the Queen Banyan, killing a level 6 evil mage." The Blood Banquet Dharma King was slightly startled. "I don't understand what's so great about this dragon demon, the Queen Banyan actually followed it. We've invited her several times before, and she ignored us." The Thunderbolt Supreme Mage said. "Forget about the Queen Banyan. Let's wait a bit longer. If the dragon demon still doesn't make a move, we'll join forces to seize the pure-blood dragon egg. This evil mage dares to be so arrogant. There could be other level 6 evil mages hidden nearby. But if the 2 of us join forces, plus my divine talisman Deo, all conspiracies and tricks will be in vain. Once we've seized the egg, we can also kill off all those insignificant beings hidden in the vicinity of Heavenly King Mountain." As evening approached, the dragon abomination had yet to appear, and Torque felt disappointed. "Gentlemen, you see, this dragon abomination doesn't dare to face my thunder of mankind. I set up a ring with no desire to compete with the dragon abomination for reputation, only to prove that we wizards are the most excellent." Chapter 1479. He swept his sleeves, intending to leave. The next moment, 2 overpowering auras suddenly descended. A blood cloud and a thundercloud covered the sky, surrounding Torque. Cloud Summit. The Thunderbolt Supreme Mage and the Blood Banquet Dharma King looked at Torque with indifferent expressions. The Thunderbolt Supreme Mage reached out, and a massive, purple mage's hand hundreds of meters wide grabbed at Torque. "Hand over the dragon egg, then you can die," he said. Torque's expression changed, and he hurriedly said, "6th level Magic King. Grandma, save me." In the void, an annoyed woman's cold snort sounded. 2 level 6 experts attacking a junior, isn't that a little shameless? The voluptuous old hag Myra, bathed in the vast thunder, used the wizard's hand to dissipate the Thunderbolt Supreme Mage's giant hand and saved Torque. The Blood Banquet Dharma King laughed and said, "I've always been too lazy to deal with you evil mages, but today is a good day to catch all the old and young ones in one net." He swept his starry robe, and a 1,000-meter-long river of blood formed, attacking Myra Witch. Myra Witch secretly cursed her bad luck. The intention of the Thunder Divine Hall was just to bait a 3-headed dragon abomination. Now, instead of attracting a 3-headed dragon abomination, 2 6th-level magic kings had shown up. Both of them? Who could tell her what was going on? Weren't the Dharma Kings busy rebelling with the demon race and barbarian tribes? Why would they care about trivial matters among foreigners? But it was too late for regrets now. The urgent matter was to hold off these 2 Dharma Kings so Torque could escape quickly. Booming! The Blood Banquet Dharma King, at some point, had a blood-colored magic wand with a jet-black crystal core embedded at the top, emanating a dense negative energy. This was a level 6 Shadow Demon crystal core, obtained after he and the Thunderbolt Supreme Mage had killed the Shadow Demon King. He had placed it in his wand to enhance the power of his blood magic. Together, the 2 Dharma Kings overpowered Myra Witch. She waved a hand, and a 300-meter-high, purple, ferocious thunder ghost, with fangs bared and claws outstretched, appeared. On the chest of the behemoth were several thunder drums, a single beat of which could unleash a 6th-ring level alchemy magic spell. The thunder ghost also wore a purple lightning robe on its shoulders, equally powerful. Alchemy creature Thunder Ghost. As soon as the Thunder Ghost appeared, it stopped the Blood Banquet Dharma King. The Blood Banquet Dharma King's expression slightly changed, then he scoffed. "Typical of an evil mage, tisk tisk, you really do have quite a few good things on you, this alchemy creation is now mine." Myra Witch hurriedly transmitted a message to Torque. "You get out of here as quickly as possible, the farther, the better. I'll hold these 2 Dharma Kings off with the Thunder Ghost until you're safe, then I'll leave." Myra's power, even with the Thunder Ghost, was no match for the 2 Dharma Kings. But if she decided to leave, the 2 Dharma Kings couldn't stop her. Torque said, "Grandma, take care." Now was not the time for sentimentality. His strength, although overpowering other 5th Circle wizards, was like a child in front of 6th Circle wizards, without any comparison. His Thunder God's hammer glowed brightly. With a fierce swing, sparks splattered everywhere, and a passageway appeared in the void. Just as he was about to step into it, he was shocked to find that the void passageway he had opened was sealed shut like glue, impossible to enter. In the elusive high skies, a clear and pleasant female voice drifted down to the human realm. 10,000 Leaf Barrier. During the chaotic battle, unbeknownst to anyone, countless branches descended from the void, forming a green barrier that completely sealed Torque off. At the same time, millions of branches entwined around Torque. Lightning flashed violently on his body as he tried to blast the branches apart, but to no avail. Torque shouted furiously, "3-headed dragon abomination, Queen Banyan, you despicable couple!" How could he not understand the situation by now? Both supreme archmages present were manipulated by the 3-headed dragon abomination. The enemy dared not face them in battle but chose this moment to strike, a truly cunning plan. In the blink of an eye, Torque's face filled with despair as he was dragged into a spatial rift. The 2 battling supreme archmages and Myra Witch all had their expressions drastically changed at the same time. "Demon Dragon! Dragon Abomination!" All 3 shouted angrily in unison. Within the 10,000 leaf barrier, the ugly and fierce dragon abomination revealed a brilliant smile, its sharp white teeth sparkling in the sunlight. He was enveloped under the Scarlet Divine Palace, which broke the void and entered it. Boom! 3 attacks were launched at the dragon abomination, destroying heaven and earth. The green barrier left by Queen Banyan was suddenly shattered. All 3 level 6 experts dispersed their spiritual force, finding no trace of the dragon abomination within hundreds of miles. "Damn, split up and search, don't let this demon dragon escape," Thunderbolt Supreme Mage said. Now that the demon dragon had taken Torque and the dragon egg, battling Myra Witch had lost its meaning. Myra was extremely anxious and furious, her prestigious primordial soul had been outwitted by the dragon abomination. The 3 powerful beings stepped into the void, beginning their search for the dragon abomination. 2,000 miles away, Levi's figure emerged amidst the trees, where a heavenly Pegasus star soul lay asleep, its head raised. He sat in the silver war chariot, smiling. "Let's go." The heavenly Pegasus star soul neighed to the sky, soared upwards, then transformed into a stream of light and vanished into the void. With this, and the addition of the circle of Ouroboros, Levi easily escaped 6,000 miles away. In the void, a figure quietly descended, transforming into the guise of a ranger. Levi found himself in a bustling small town that even had a tavern. "Lady boss, give me the best drink you have here." The lady boss smiled sweetly. "Sure thing." The ranger took the drink handed over by the lady boss and casually flicked a fate coin in a beautiful three-pointer arc, landing it between her bosoms. The lady boss boldly reached in and took out the fate coin. "Keep the change." The ranger laughed heartily, drinking and singing. "Come in haste, leave in haste, lamenting that we cannot meet." Chapter 1480. So it goes. Torque wagered a dragon egg and set up a 7-day tournament stage. Halfway through, 2 level 6 upper-level magic kings emerged, and chaos ensued among the various participants. Just as everyone thought the dragon abomination was fearful of the battle, it staged a clever ploy like a mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the aureole behind. The battle at Heavenly King Mountain concluded dramatically, leaving all onlookers in silence. The Holy Emperor looked toward the distance with some surprise, murmuring to himself. "Interesting, a rank 5 managed to toy with so many level SIXs, to be sure, this is the legendary 3-headed dragon abomination, truly a prominent figure of the Io continent." Anne said. "Lord Holy Emperor, don't look at how fierce it is, it has saved me before." The Holy Emperor laughed and said. "From what I know of dragon abominations, they certainly wouldn't do something like saving others. Perhaps, the dragon abomination is just a disguise. Regardless, our panda clan repays our debts. Let's find an opportunity to express our gratitude." Anne nodded, speaking with some regret. "It's just that I don't know if we will be able to meet again." The Holy Emperor spoke. "If it is fated, we will meet again." Chen sighed. "There really is always someone better out there. In front of the 3-headed dragon abomination, our differences are just too great." Li spoke. "There's no need to be discouraged. The path of the energy sect is one of accumulating quietly to erupt unexpectedly, even Lord Sauron has praised it as an extraordinary path. As long as you study hard and practice diligently, even if you can't match up to the dragon abomination in the future, you'll still be able to look down upon most transcendent civilizations." The other wizards muttered and cursed. "This dragon abomination is too shameless, actually having Queen Banyan take action. Isn't the ancient tower order going to do something about it? Perhaps it's because Queen Banyan is a native. Isn't this exploiting a loophole in the ancient tower? Alas, even the creators of the ancient tower aren't omniscient, they couldn't have foreseen that there would be such an odd specimen in later generations. Thunder of mankind is most likely dead by now, and from the looks of it, the final victor of this peak battle is still the 3-headed dragon abomination." The wizards clenched their fists in frustration and quickly departed. If those level 6 magic kings were to return, their lives would be at risk. In the distance, the Thunderbolt Supreme Mage, the Blood Banquet Dharma King, and the Myra Witch, among others, frantically searched for the dragon abomination's figure. Joining their spiritual forces, they spent some time sweeping a radius of 2,000 miles but could not find any trace of the dragon abomination again. The Thunderbolt Supreme Mage frowned and said, "How far did that demon dragon teleport in one breath? With our speed and perception range, we can't find it." The Blood Banquet Dharma King said coldly. "That guy must have many treasures on him, otherwise, with just the ancient banyan tree, there's no way he could have escaped from under our noses." The Thunderbolt Supreme Mage clenched his fists. "I refuse to believe that we can't deal with him." The Blood Banquet Dharma King sighed. "It won't be long before that demon dragon leaves, I fear we won't get another chance. Not once have I felt such frustration in all my years of cultivation." In the distance, the Myra Witch hid away on her own, muttering a spell, attempting to use a tracking secret technique to locate Torque's whereabouts. Eventually, her beautiful face twisted hideously like a dinosaur's. Dragon abomination. Clearly, her tracking secret technique had not been successful. Until now, Torque's soul token had not shattered, leaving it uncertain how the dragon abomination was currently tormenting him. Thinking this, Myra regretted her greed. "Greed has led me astray, greed has led me astray." She failed to fish and ended up losing a pure-blood dragon egg and a great-grandchild. The rising primordial soul star of her family line had just met an untimely end in this way. This dragon abomination's every action has been calculated, it's nothing like a dragon abomination, more like a wizard. No matter who you are, as long as you return to the wizard world and dare to show your face and let me know, our family will ensure your total annihilation, with no chance of reincarnation. In the wilds, Levi, assuring himself of safety, entered the Holy Grail. Inside the 8 heavenly dragon prison, the one who claimed to be thunder of mankind, the strongest under the primordial soul, Torque, was being ganged up on by the god Nick, the Black Lotus beast, and the blood-sucking demon dragon, who was being ground into the dirt. His body, like a burly man's, was full of frustrated indignation. The figure of the dragon abomination descended from the skies. Torque, defiant in expression, said, "You're truly despicable, not daring to have an honorable battle with me." The dragon abomination laughed and said, "Correct, I'm despicable and shameless, who made me a dragon abomination?" Torque coldly said, "You're not a dragon abomination. How could a dragon abomination set up such an intricate array, get along with sub-dragons amicably, or use deceptive schemes? You're a wizard, no matter who you are, I advise you to release me. My father, my grandmother, they're both primordial soul wizards, and our family is a great family of the Divine Tower. Do you really think you can do whatever you want with just Queen Banyan on your side? You'll never understand the foundation of our wizard family." The dragon abomination chuckled lightly and said, "You're quite the smart one, discovering such important secrets about me. Since that's the case, die." He placed a palm on Torque's brow, and a red dragon mark emerged. In an instant, this self-important wizard from the heavenly dragon tribe, who always spoke highly of his family, lowered his eyes and submitted, saying, "Master." Levi scoffed, "I still prefer your defiant attitude." Torque, lowering his head, kept silent as if acknowledging his mistake. Levi spoke earnestly, "Hand over the pure-blood dragon egg and everything else you have on you." Torque gestured broadly, and from his sleeve, a black scale dragon egg rolled out. As soon as the dragon egg appeared, it emitted a scorching presence, even attracting elemental power, resulting in an anomaly in the heavens and earth. Levi carefully caressed the dragon egg, he could feel that there was indeed life within the egg. But this life force was peculiar, as if in a deep slumber and gradually declining. Chapter 1481. Levi asked, "What is this, a pure-blood dragon egg?" Torque honestly replied, "I do not know, only that it is an egg of some fire element pure-blooded dragon." Levi frowned and said, "Does the Thunder Divine Hall take such risks? To use the priceless pure-blood dragon egg as a bet, aren't you afraid of actually losing this dragon egg?" Torque said, "My grandma used her primordial soul techniques to check it and realized that the life force within this dragon egg is constantly declining. This means, even before it has hatched, it is already moving towards death within the egg. My grandma said that there are naturally dead eggs of the pure-blooded dragon species, which are dead the moment they are laid. There are also acquired dead eggs, which are alive when laid, but due to some external reasons, they ultimately fail to hatch and die within the shell. This is what an acquired dead egg is. Its hatching success rate is less than 1%, no different from dead eggs. Therefore, using a dead egg to exchange for the master's trophy and the opponent's head is a guaranteed profit. Nowadays, many top wizard organizations are coveting what the master obtains from the 9 Cities Alliance's trophy." After Torque finished speaking, Levi cursed silently. "Knew these old dogs were scheming against me, thankfully I was cautious, and it is also good that I have mana." He obtained some more intelligence from Torque, and then he killed him. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, flesh to Long, and soul to Leon. Just like Besk, Torque was a member of a top organization, and Levi was not confident about letting him return. He opened Torque's storage ring and found many valuable items. Over 1,000,000 ether stones, several pieces of spell knowledge. 2 top-grade wizard tools. One called the Thunder God's Hammer, which is both an attack wizard tool and a treasure of void travel, capable of traversing hundreds of miles in one breath. The other is the Thunderous Robes, with strong defense capable of withstanding 5th circle perfection attacks, and also possessing decent attack and control abilities. Levi stowed the Thunder God's Hammer and planned to dispose of the Thunderous Robes. They say Void Shuttle witch artifacts are the most precious, but Levi doesn't feel it at all. He currently owns the Circle of Ouroboros, Golden Mirror, Black Sun Compass, Flame Sky Arrow, and Thunder God's Hammer 5 items. With these, he can travel 3,000 miles. Plus the 2,000 miles from the Scarlet Divine Palace, 3,000 miles by a sky Pegasus Crimson, and 1,000 miles of his own void energy. In his ultimate state, he can dash for 9,000 miles in one go. I'm not far from the ultimate limit of 10,000 miles in one breath, ha ha ha, who is faster than me below the primordial soul wizards? Levi couldn't help but feel proud. Apart from the wizard tools, there were various other materials, ores aplenty. However, Levi, now immensely wealthy, found these trophies hardly satisfying anymore. Eventually, he quickly pulled out a transparent, sealed glass bottle, his face lit with joy. Inside, there was a fluctuating flame that appeared almost like a face but without distinct features, blurry and with a hint of divinity. What? What oddity is this? Levi was stunned. Truth oddity types were bizarre and varied, and the Wizard Atlas only recorded a small part of them. After all, most wizards, even if they obtained a truth oddity, would not kindly display it and inform others of its function. Therefore, the higher the level of the oddity, the more difficult it is to know its use. Levi had used more than a dozen oddities, including those of the sky level. Although he did not know what this oddity was, he could roughly judge it as a fire element sky level oddity, comparable to the flame ghost's kiss. Struck it rich, I have struck it rich. Sky level oddities, even for Levi, were very rare. It would be great if it could increase the upper limit of spiritual force. He temporarily stored the oddity and continued looking through the rest. Among the remaining trophies, there were no more truth oddities. Presumably, even if there were any, they would be with that grandma. Oh well, can't be too greedy, time to head home. Levi tore through the scarlet dark dimension, entered it, and disappeared. Inside the Thunder Divine Hall, Myra Witch looked at Torque's broken soul token with a heavy heart. I am sorry. She had personally doomed a potential primordial soul genius of her family. This was a tremendous loss. Moreover, thinking about it now, even if that pure-blood dragon egg was an acquired dead egg, it still had a very slim chance of successfully hatching, but now because of her, it was given away to others. Loss is only realized after it's gone. All was caused by greed. If only she had been as cautious as the Deep Blue organization, there wouldn't have been such dire consequences. 1 month later, the results of the battle at Heavenly King Mountain had spread throughout Io, shocking the wizards. That dragon abomination is truly cunning and treacherous. Yes, now the Thunder Divine Hall is in a dire situation, not to mention the fall of a top genius at 5th Circle Perfection, but they also lost a pure-blood dragon egg. Just thinking about it is painful. Ah, the ancient tower is about to close, better to avoid creating problems, try not to provoke that dragon abomination. 9 Cities Alliance, Thunder Divine Hall. A bloody lesson is right before us. Outside the ancient tower. Divine Tower. A group of primordial soul wizards frowned, saying coldly. What were Torque and Myra playing at? Lost treasures and troops and also tarnished our lightning school of thought's reputation. Damn that 3-headed dragon abomination, don't let me see it in the wizard world or I will definitely slaughter it. Gentlemen, no need for anger. Think about how much the 9 Cities Alliance lost, we are already much better off by comparison. The lower ranks of wizards in the wizard world were also full of grievances. These top organizations, always high and mighty, looking down on this and that, yet in the end, they were played by a dragon abomination. It's truly a comedy. Chapter 1482. Indeed, can we still make it? We are wizards, after all. The dragon abomination has thoroughly established its name as the strongest creature under the primordial soul. If last time when it faced Roman, it could be said that it was an immoral surprise attack. What about this time? Witch's family. Triss's face was full of expression, her mouth slightly agape. After a moment, she smiled helplessly and said, is this really the dragon abomination that I know of? The dragon abomination clan, this time, had as many people entering the ancient tower as the amethyst race. Yet, only half the time the tower had been opened, they were almost completely annihilated. As of now, only the 3-headed dragon abomination, their last hope, remains. Triss could understand the vast differences between people. After all, wisdom is hard to evaluate. Was the gap between dragon abominations just as big? Weren't these guys all a bunch of simple-minded, physically strong creatures? No wonder many voices from the outside world have begun to question the identity of the dragon abominations. It seems that there really is a problem now. Triss looked at the arrogant and wild smile of the dragon abomination, replaying it over and over in her mind, lost in thought. Land of Darkness. The dragon abomination venerable laughed like a child who was 100,000 years old. He exclaimed loudly. TSSK TSSK TSSK, my strength in this panplane might not be the first. But when it comes to judging people, I claim to be the first and no one dares to claim to be the second. Seeing this child snatch the prey from the jaws of several level 6 creatures reminds me of my youth, when I alone created havoc in the Dragon Pond and Tiger Cave, a time when I single-handedly caused the Dragon Clan to tremble in fear. The Fire Sovereign glanced at him and couldn't be bothered to respond. The Amethyst Saint had completely stopped paying attention to the 5th level, he was now solely focused on the 9th layer. He thought darkly. I must conquer the Dark Ancient Tower. Then on the spot, I will use the tower to crush this chatterbox of a dragon abomination to death. To be fair, as a saint of the Amethyst race, he had to admit. The strength of the dragon abomination had already surpassed that of the Amethyst race at the same realm, which was known as the strongest. Of course, this 3-headed dragon abomination was just one in 10,000 anomalies among the dragon abominations, and it was highly likely not a dragon abomination at all. The dragon abomination venerable was merely unwilling to accept reality, wishfully thinking. In terms of individual average combat power, he was confident that within the panplane, the Amethyst race is still the undisputed number 1. The Dark Ancient Tower, he, the Amethyst Saint, had set his sights on it, and not even Sauron could stop him. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, it was the month of Northern Wind. The tumult of the battle at Heavenly King Mountain had also thoroughly subsided. The Thunderbolt Supreme Mage and the Blood Banquet Dharma King failed to kill the Demon Dragon and returned to more important affairs, no longer distracted by other matters. On the Io continent, except for Chaos City and the surrounding central provinces, the border provinces in the east, south, west, and north directions were all taken down by the demon race and barbarian tribes as if they were breaking bamboo. And the Supreme Archmage seemed as if he hadn't seen it at all and did not send any decrees, he still let the other loyal Archmages continue the resistance. Dragon Palace Island. Fairyland. Mana's complexion was even more rosy and her skin more delicate than before. And her true form, the Queen Banyan, grew more branches with leaves even greener and full of life force, showing signs of wild growth. After absorbing the divine tree power from over a dozen golden leaves, she could feel that her strength had actually increased slightly. It's known that after level 6, every bit of strength increase is extremely difficult. As a result, most who barely enter the realm of the primordial soul, before their demise, can only remain trapped at this stage. For a divine tree like the Queen Banyan, their growth and cultivation speed is even slower than that of the Dragon King Whale and similar sub-dragons. This shows how great the divine tree power is for Mana. This made Levi miss Rose, who had disappeared, even more. With his current strength, he could suppress her easily. Her true form was a complete piece of Pandora's root, which would undoubtedly be even more beneficial for Mana. If lucky, Mana might even advance to the mid-stage of level 6, becoming a powerhouse comparable to a 6th ring senior wizard. In the realm of primordial soul, she would be among the elite, quite capable of deciding a winner against the Flower Knight. Levi, having received the 9 gold leaves from Mana, was not in a hurry to refine them. He prioritized refining the Fiery Oddity. The Fiery Oddity had been refining for about half a year now, and today, it was finally coming to an end. That day, accompanied by the Fiery Oddity completely turning into a warm stream that entered Levi's spiritual sea and merged with the iridescent crystals. There were no less than 12 oddity shadows swimming around inside, like a miniature zoo. Levi closed his eyes and meditated, feeling the changes brought by the oddity infusion. Then, with a joyous expression, he placed his hand on the Klein crystal ball. Spiritual Force, 932/1221. Spell Power, 93,200. The upper limit of spiritual force has increased by 30 points. Indeed a sky-level oddity. In this way, there are only 399 points left until the infinite primordial soul. It is known that Levi still has 9 golden leaves to refine, Roman has 8 golden leaves and an unknown number of truth oddities. Plus the Morning Star level oddities in the Flower Knight's possession. If he's lucky, Levi this time might just collect the entire 1,620 points. Even if he cannot gather the full amount, it should not be too far off. As long as he has enough money and a high enough status, some truth oddities can still be obtained in the wizard world. This way, an infinite primordial soul is a prospect for the future. How could Levi not be excited? Now looking at it, the hardest thing for me is not collecting 1620 points of spiritual force but to condense the 81 maximum spirits. Refining this stuff really takes time. And I am saying this despite having the fluorescent illusion tree and the proficiency panel. If it were other wizards, even with enough spiritual force upper limit, they may not be able to condense 81 before their lifespan ends. Chapter 1483. Of course, since it directly points to the Grand Wizard's even legendary path of spell mastery, it would naturally be hard. If it were so easy, wouldn't the wizard world be flooded with legends worth less than dogs? That's also unrealistic. The laws of the universe, in general, maintain a balance across all clans. Now, it seems I don't need to hurry to find the Golden Absolutes race anymore. However, if I encounter them in the future, I still need to eliminate them. Firstly, for the benefit of mana, and secondly, to feed the Sword of Victory. Having understood these things, Levi continued to explore the other functions of the oddity. The next day, Levi opened his eyes, and in his pupils, a face of abstract flames that resembled a comical emoticon appeared, squinting as it emerged. This flaming face was initially only the size of a white jade plate. But as it opened its mouth to inhale, the elemental power of the surrounding heaven and earth began to churn, and around the face, flames like those trailing the sun began to grow. Eventually, the fire elemental power in the area was completely swallowed by it. The size of the flaming face reached about 10 meters in diameter, just like a little sundae. Another special spiritual creature that can harness the power of heaven and earth elements. Seems I'm the only one who can't. Levi couldn't help but complain. The flaming face hovered in front of Levi, seemingly waiting for his command. Levi said, "Show me your strength." The flaming face's squinting eyes finally opened, revealing pupils filled with divine light as if the fire god himself had descended. This special spiritual creature reminded Levi of Simon's fire god's phantom. The flaming face came from the supreme heavens, like a real artificial sundae. It opened its mouth wide, releasing a terrifying flame flow that demolished everything in its path. Not only that, as it continued to rotate, the surrounding fire elemental power began to rage. In an instant, the area for several miles was completely engulfed in the fire domain it created. In this domain, countless phenomena similar to the fire elemental spirit appeared, such as fire snakes, fire phoenixes, fire giants, etc. The earth melted, turning into magma. The fierce sun scorched, and all things were destroyed. "Stop!" Levi commanded. Puff puff. The flaming face, like a deflating balloon, rapidly shrank, eventually appearing behind Levi's head like Buddha's halo. "Go back, you look somewhat ugly this way." Levi spoke indifferently. Instantly, the flaming face prepared to return inside Levi's spiritual sea to keep the lonely Jinn company. "Wait. Try if you can control this." Caught by inspiration, Levi took the flaming face to the 8 heavenly dragon prison. He issued the command, and the fusion with the Nick god was complete. The 100-meter-tall alchemy creation was ready to go. "Go in, try to drive this behemoth," Levi ordered. The flaming face transformed into a beam of light and burst into it instantly. It appeared directly in Nick god's furnace, like a never-extinguishing sundae. Then, from Nick god's eyes, fire light began to emit, and behind him, a giant flaming face phantom hundreds of meters in diameter appeared, filled with divinity, majestic to behold yet untouchable. Right after, Nick god roared into action, its engines thundered loudly, and it shot 1,000 feet of golden light straight into the sky. In his hand, the shark-tooth-shaped sword burst into flame, ultimately forming the world-destroying flame sword. Slash! With one strike from Nick god, a kilometer-long flame trench instantly formed. Then, with the swing of his staff, a shocking sun of great day descended. Levi was shocked by the force of this strike, feeling it was no less powerful than his own red lotus purgatory. A terrifying explosion swept across, turning the starry night as bright as daylight. "Turn on full power," Levi commanded. Nick god's body shone with intense white light, and in his chest, a chaotic breath uniting the 4 elements began to brew. Boom! The breath shot out irresistibly, its power seeming even stronger than the last time it battled the Black Lotus Beast. The Black Lotus Beast, watching this, couldn't help feeling nervous. "Damn it, the gap between Nick and me is growing bigger, I am supposed to be the strongest of the sub-dragons." It immediately began to train and cultivate, becoming a self-disciplined Black Lotus Beast. When Nick got extinguished, the flaming face emerged again, expressionless. Levi said. Good, you were born to be a pilot for the Nick god, from now on, your name will be Nick. With the addition of the special spiritual creature, the power of Nick god grew even greater. The primary reason was that it could manipulate the power of heaven and earth elements, albeit in a limited area. Plus, it could save a considerable expense of ether stone. With this, the complete body of Nick god has taken shape. I wish to call it the most powerful six-circle alchemy creature. Speaking of which, the old witch seemed to have a six-circle alchemy creature that day. That's really enviable. Levi did not envy her. Once he reached the sixth circle, relying on the materials collected inside the ancient tower, paired with level 6 upper level thunder hive stone, he could also create thunder element alchemical creatures, which would surely perform better than the old witches. Apart from the special spiritual creature, this truth oddity also enhanced the power of Levi's fire spells, no need to mention more. Finally, Levi named this oddity Faceless Fire God, and included it in his book titled Ultimate Strange Objects. Less than a year left before the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant hatches. Striving to refine all 9 golden leaves to see what level my spiritual force upper limit can reach. Levi continued to seclude himself, no longer concerning himself with the mundane world. With Mind Flayers and the Ice Phoenix, he could control the main events of Io at any time. Chapter 1484. Holy Brilliance Calendar Year 1230, Month of Beginning. In addition, it was the 65th year since the Dark Ancient Tower opened. The 130th Round Table meeting was held as scheduled. While refining the Golden Leaf, Levi went online for the meeting, listened to the team members' reports and summaries on the recent situation in the human realm, as well as organizational work and their own cultivation achievements. Last year, a 5th Circle Complete Cave Wizard inadvertently stumbled upon the entrance to the Ancient Saint Plane and was ultimately killed within an array by the Golden Feathers King leading the Senior State Assembly Ancient Saints in a combined grand array. Although the Cave Wizard was the lowest of the low, he had nevertheless reached 5th Circle perfection, his strength comparable to that of current Senior 5th Circle Wizards. The Golden Feathers King, who had not long since broken through to rank 5, was naturally no match for the Cave Wizard. However, fortunately for him, the power of Levi's 7 Kings of Hell Grand Array ensured a close but safe victory. However, the Senior State Assembly Ancient Saints suffered 6 casualties, which was a heavy loss. On the brighter side, the Ancient Sage of the Winged King successfully reached rank 5 not long ago, becoming the second individual in the Ancient Dragon Empire to break the upper limit, which offset the loss to some extent. Now among the 3 kings of the Ancient Dragon Empire, only the big stud King Wang hadn't broken through to rank 5. Levi wondered if this was related to his constant pursuit of pleasure and decided to deal with him once he returned. Levi felt that the situation in the human realm was becoming increasingly serious. The intensification of the Dark Wave revival and the ceaseless battles between the Black Dragon Empire and the 7 Kingdoms. Peaceful coexistence at the Ancient Saint Plane was becoming increasingly difficult. However, he had collected countless resources inside the Ancient Tower, and upon his return to the Ancient Saint Plane, he would quickly be able to arm it. If nothing else, he could easily create another 8 Heavenly Dragon prison and install it at the entrance to the plane. The array of the 7 Kings of Hell was a somewhat outdated version. At the Giant Beast Paradise, Master Melina's cultivation had also reached perfection 3rd circle. Her talent was good to begin with, and she had a 5th circle potential spiritual beast, so reaching 5th circle wizard wouldn't be difficult for her. The number of transcendent creatures in the paradise had grown too much since Levi's departure. As for the knights themselves, the Goddess Knight, the Golden Lion Knight, were starting to prepare to advance to level 4. Levi estimated that after his return, all of the older generation of knights would be at level 4. With so many resources obtained from the Ancient Tower, even sparing a little of what was unnecessary for himself to train these senior members would accelerate their cultivation progress. All in all, Levi had great hopes for the future of the knights. After the meeting ended, Levi continued to refine the Golden Leaf. Time flew by, and several months passed in the blink of an eye. Month of Flowers. According to intelligence sent from the front lines by the Ice Phoenix, the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ants had shown some signs of shedding their skins in recent days. The entire Heavenhorn tribe was on alert, and sensing the impending storm, she took the opportunity to leave early. As expected, not long after, the Heavenhorn Barbarian King and the tribe's powerhouses began hunting and killing former honored guests to silence them. As such, she could no longer continue to monitor the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ants. Levi told her to find a safe place and wait for him to come. The refinement of the incomplete oddities proceeded swiftly, and they were probably not high in quality. The refinement work of the 9 oddities was almost complete, and he didn't want to interrupt it. Month of Flowing Fire. The 9 incomplete oddities were finally completely refined. Levi's entire demeanor seemed to elevate to another level. He placed his hand on the Klein crystal. Spiritual force, 1000/1290. Spell power, 100,000. Levi opened his eyes and exhaled. 9 incomplete oddities, plus my own cultivation, have altogether increased my spiritual force by 68 points, and my spiritual force limit by 69 points. Not bad, it exceeds my expectations. Gaining 68 points in spiritual force in half a year was like rocketing up, and even that was an understatement. Other ordinary 5th circle wizards would be overjoyed to gain just 1 point in a year. Of course, such spiritual force gained by forcing growth through oddities was bound to be somewhat unstable at its foundation. If the mental state didn't keep up, it could lead to problems. So Levi decided to stabilize his mind before leaving the ancient tower, even if he obtained more golden leaves. For now, he would not refine them. Instead, he would solidify his mental state first. Having just been promoted to 5th circle a little over 40 years ago, he had walked the path other 5th circle wizards took hundreds of years to travel, arriving at 1000 points of regular perfection. Considering the history of the wizard world, he was a rare existence. And with the upper limit of his spiritual force only 330 points away from 1620. Infinite primordial soul, here I come, Levi. He couldn't help but laugh loudly, feeling elated. However, the thought that he still hadn't condensed the 16th maximum soul dampened his spirits. Elsewhere, the spiritual force fluctuation of the Holy Infant clone had also reached 1000 points. Unlike Levi's main body, the clone had room for further increase in spiritual force due to consuming many oddities, but for the Holy Infant, it was at its limit. At that moment, Levi had a premonition. In the future, when I advance my primordial soul, the Holy Infant clone cannot advance in sync. It has to undergo metamorphosis and face 3 calamities and 4 disasters alone. Likewise, the primordial soul of the Holy Infant clone will not trigger an advancement in the main body. Just as Levi had feared earlier, after all, the Holy Infant clone was a unique entity born from a sky-grade oddity. It couldn't cheat fate to the point of just laying back and winning the advancement of the primordial soul. And Levi's path to the infinite primordial soul clearly wasn't applicable to the Holy Infant. Given. Chapter 1485. Having realized these things, Levi suddenly saw the light. Now that everything here is settled, it's time to set off for the barbarian tribes. Before leaving, Levi made his way to Flaming Mountain. There, a black-scaled giant egg was placed. He had been researching this object suspected to be an ashen dragon egg for some time now. Could it really be impossible to hatch it? Levi felt somewhat depressed. Although he hadn't held too much hope from the start, the thought of possibly missing out on an ash dragon pet pained him to death. His knowledge of the pure-blooded dragon clan was also extremely limited, given that these creatures were exceedingly rare. I wonder if the Death Ember dragon bloodline in my body could heal its acquired injuries. Levi hesitated and dared not try. If it backfired and directly killed the creature, the 1% chance would drop to 0, and that would truly be despair. Enough, I'll leave it to fate for now. With the Lover's Rune's blessing, the success rate should be at least 1.6%, right? He consoled himself in this way. Upon leaving the fairyland, he flew towards the direction of the barbarian tribes, relying on the Scarlet Dark Dimension to speed up the journey. 2 months later, Levi returned to the remote barbarian region. In the wilderness, he encountered the Ice Phoenix. Master. The Ice Phoenix was worried that her master would blame her for not doing a good job. It's all right, you don't need to worry about it anymore, I'll take care of it myself. Levi said indifferently. He opened a spatial rift and sucked the Ice Phoenix into it. Inside the Holy Grail, Levi lifted the scarlet contract from the Ice Phoenix. After a moment of confusion, the Ice Phoenix suddenly came to her senses. She looked at Levi with complicated feelings, fearfully asking. You're not going to kill me, are you? I'm one with the cold flame bird. Levi asked. Are you afraid of death? The Ice Phoenix replied. Through ages of hardship, only death is certain, I don't want to die. Levi smiled and said. That's the right attitude, clinging to life is better than dying. Behind him, the sword of Excalibur emerged, and Levi spoke. This is Excalibur, a supreme rare treasure beyond your imagination. Swear as I instruct in front of it, and I guarantee not to kill you. Furthermore, aiding both you and the cold flame bird to break through to 5th circle senior or even 5th circle perfection will not be an issue. His expression was serious, not at all boastful. The Ice Phoenix, having witnessed his strength, was naturally convinced and submissive. I'll do as you say. To disagree could mean death, or even worse, being enslaved by that terrifying contract once again, losing her personality. After the Ice Phoenix swore the oath, Levi looked at her with a smile and said, "Next, you and the cold flame bird can find a suitable place within this fairyland to cultivate." The Ice Phoenix, excited, quickly expressed her gratitude. "Thank you, Master." In the end, this woman settled in element-rich land No. 008 within the fairyland's extreme north, a place called Little Cold Mountain. Feeling the dense frost elemental power there, the Ice Phoenix's heart was filled with ecstasy. The richness of elements here surpasses most places in the realm of ice. Cultivating here is no less than the dojos of the top wizard organizations. Little Cold Mountain, being one of the top 10 cave heavens ranked by Levi, was naturally a sought-after location. Having taken care of the Ice Phoenix, Levi disappeared from the wilderness. Saba City. At the mountain peak within the city, the winged tiger totem lay coiled, exuding a terrifying aura. A figure was sitting cross-legged in front of it, none other than the city lord, the winged tiger barbarian king. The winged tiger barbarian king said, "Tiger ancestor, there's one more month until the heaven crystal dragon ant sheds its shell." Tiger ancestor said, "Very good, my current strength is only a step away from reaching the middle stage of level 6. If I devour the heaven crystal dragon ant, I can make further progress." The winged tiger barbarian king said, "There is still a year before the grand battle in Chaos City. If we lose the battle and die without a legacy, will you regret it, Tiger Ancestor?" Tiger Ancestor laughed heartily. "Being able to become the totem of your tribe, sharing life and death with you, I have no regrets." The winged tiger barbarian king lifted his cup, gazing up at the heavenly dome that enveloped the wilderness. This first cup, to the heavens. In the culture of the barbarian tribes, the truly supreme existence that stands above millions of totems is known as the spirit of the blue sky, also called heavenly will. The winged tiger barbarian king drained the cup and then lifted another, toasting to the tiger ancestor with solemnity. "This second cup is to you, Tiger Ancestor. Without you, there would be no winged tiger barbarian king today." Tiger Ancestor appeared moved, nodding slightly. The winged tiger barbarian king lifted a third cup. In his hand, an ancient and simplistic tiger head shark tooth-shaped sword, emanating a cold light, appeared. Clearly, it was also a rare treasure of the barbarian tribes. Grasping the sword, an aura of mid-stage level 6 suddenly burst forth. He leaped beneath the vast sky, above all living beings, raising his cup to invite the moon, heartily drinking the spirit. "The last cup, to myself. I, Barbarian King, will certainly accomplish an unprecedented great feat, break out of this prison of heaven and earth, and return to the homeland we have passed down from our ancestors." Several days later. Night. Two powerful presences were quickly making their way toward the direction of the Heavenhorn tribe. These two, one wearing a silver mask and the other a golden mask, both radiated the aura of peak level 5. They were the Gold and Silver brothers of the Heavenhorn tribe, with the elder brother called Goldenhorn and the younger brother called Silverhorn. The strength of the Gold and Silver brothers was particularly well known among the barbarian tribes. It was said that together, below the primordial soul, no one could defeat them. In the battles against the empires, they had also created a formidable reputation. The brothers received word that the winged tiger barbarian king seemed to harbor evil intentions towards the sky corner dragon ant and might launch a surprise attack during its shedding. Thus, all the strong warriors of the Heavenhorn tribe who were outside were to rush back to aid the barbarian king. Goldenhorn flew in the front, Silverhorn behind. As they flew, Goldenhorn noticed that Silverhorn's presence had disappeared. He reacted extremely quickly, grasping his golden spear and slashing towards one side of the void. Along with the sound of metal clashing, a pitch-black dragon claw caught the golden spear barehanded. A ferocious and colossal demon dragon appeared before him. The demon dragon, with a smirk at the corner of its mouth, said lightly, "Not bad observation skills, no wonder you can claim to be undefeated below the primordial soul when united. However, from today on, you'll need to make a small edit. From now on, you can only say you are undefeated below the primordial soul and The three-headed dragon demon. Goldenhorn's expression changed drastically. What have you done to Silverhorn? The demon dragon stepped forward, carrying a great sword, and his terrifying aura erupted. Thunder Half Moon. The heavenly shocking slash collided with Goldenhorn's spear, creating a tumultuous wave of energy that shook the heavens and the earth. With one strike, Goldenhorn was sent flying. He retreated quickly, trying to flee. The demon dragon stepped into the void, immediately blinked in front of Goldenhorn, and struck out with both palms. Lion King fights elephant. Goldenhorn's spear was knocked away, and the demon dragon's palm struck Goldenhorn's chest. He then flew out like a kite with its string cut, crashing to the ground. Levi, by now, except for the Eagle Divine Scripture, had reached the 5th level with all other Barbarian King level battle techniques. The Warlord catalog was even close to the 6th level. Thus, with each move, he utilized various mighty auras, full of power. Soon, Goldenhorn was pulled into a spatial rift by the demon dragon and disappeared. Inside the 8 heavenly dragon prison, Silverhorn had already been subdued by Godnik and his associates. What do you intend to do? Both Goldenhorn and Silverhorn changed their expressions drastically. Levi placed his palms on their chests, accompanied by the appearance of a scarlet contract tracking mark. The Gold and Silver brothers became servants. After extracting some information from them, Levi said indifferently, "Return to the Heavenhorn tribe and report the situation of the Sky Corner Dragon Ant to me." After leaving, the Gold and Silver brothers hastened back to Heavenhorn City that very night. Levi looked into the distance. Success or failure hangs on this one action. If I succeed, I am fortunate; if I fail, it is my fate. Chapter 1486. Regarding the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant, Levi always maintained a go-with-the-flow mentality. After all, he himself was not very far from reaching level 6. If he could have an additional level 6 combatant, it would be for the best. If not, he couldn't force it, his own life was still the most important. As far as he knew, the strength of the Winged Tiger Barbarian King was among the top of all the Barbarian Kings, and it was very likely that he was at the level 6 mid-stage. The same was true for the Heavenhorn Barbarian King. They were not on the same level as the Blood Banquet Dharma King, the Thunderbolt Supreme Mage, and Roman. The main reason he had been able to pick up bargains in front of level 6 beings twice was the support of the senior Mana. However, the strength of Mana was only at the level 6 early stage, which was slightly stronger due to the power of the Divine Tree. But since her true body couldn't move and could only reach out across spaces within the ancient Banyan Fairyland, her full strength couldn't be completely utilized. Therefore, the difficulty of sneaking away with the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant right under the noses of 2 level 6 mid-stagers was immense. Levi planned to have the Gold and Silver brothers wait and see. If the danger was too great, then they would give up. This trip to the ancient tower had already brought him overflowing gains, there was no need to be greedy for more. The 9 Cities Alliance and the Thunder Divine Hall were Pruarnings. I still have one spot left in my Scarlet contract. Besides the Gold and Silver brothers, I can contract with one more. This Heavenhorn Barbarian King seems to have a daughter who is also at the peak level 5 strength, perhaps I should think of a way to contract with her as well. If I do, the most trusted subordinates and offspring of the Heavenhorn Barbarian King would all be mine, making actions more convenient. On his journey, Levi increasingly felt that the skill of the Scarlet contract was truly too powerful. His figure vanished into the night, like a specter. Heavenhorn City. As one of the Northern Territory's top cities, its majestic body stood tall on the wilderness. The city gates were tightly shut, and around the giant city, there was a protective shield similar to an array, making it impossible for even level 5 experts to forcibly enter. Within the city, nearly 20 level 5 auras soared into the sky like plumes of wolf smoke. Heavenhorn City was unabashedly displaying its formidable strength as a deterrent to enemies. At the city lord's great hall, the Heavenhorn Barbarian King paced back and forth, his expression anxious. Before long, 2 figures, one gold and one silver, strode forward with dignity and steadiness. It was the Gold and Silver brothers. The Heavenhorn Barbarian King said coldly, "How is it? Are there other Barbarian Kings willing to lend a hand?" Goldenhorn replied, "Lord, so far, only 2 Barbarian Kings are willing to help, the Sky Jackal Barbarian King and the Hyena Barbarian King. The others are either tied up at the front or have outright refused. The Sky Jackal Barbarian King's price for helping is the 6th level treasure Tiger Soul Dominator Blade from the Winged Tiger Barbarian King. The Hyena Barbarian King's price, on the other hand, is the totem spirit after the death of the winged tiger totem. They are virtually scavenging all the spoils of war. The Heavenhorn barbarian king, learning that someone was willing to help, let out a sigh of relief and said angrily. Apart from Sky Jackal and Hyena, the others don't even understand the principle that if the lips are gone, the teeth will be cold. If I fall, which of the remaining barbarian kings can contend with the winged tiger? It's obvious what the winged tiger aims to do. He wants to kill me, a level 6 mid-stager. This way, he can smoothly unite the barbarian tribes, and everyone else will either die or surrender. Goldenhorn sighed. Alas, these people won't sense the severity of the problem until death is upon them. However, with the help of 2 great barbarian kings, I believe that the Lord Barbarian King will surely be able to turn the tables and kill the winged tiger, protecting the ant ancestor. The Heavenhorn Barbarian King sighed and ordered. Keep scouting and report. Also, summon Isa to me. As you command. The Gold and Silver brothers quickly withdrew. A well-proportioned barbarian woman entered, seemingly more delicate than the average female barbarian. Her skin had a faint blue luster, clear and translucent, with a subtle aura of coldness around her. She was none other than Isa, the Heavenhorn Barbarian King's daughter. Isa asked. Father, what do you need me for? The Heavenhorn Barbarian King said. Hurry to the North Sea, to the extreme Ice Sea to ask the Ice Mountain Empress for a 6th level treasure. This treasure is called the Ice Sea Pearl. After securing it, come see me immediately. This task must be completed within half a month. Isa asked. No problem. But father, will the Ice Mountain Empress really lend it to us? What if she refuses? The Heavenhorn Barbarian King replied. She will lend it. You just go and ask for it. Isa said resolutely. All right, father, I will surely fulfill the mission perfectly. She left quickly, using the concealing breath technique to hide her presence, and after leaving the city, she swiftly headed towards the North Sea. From atop the city walls, the Gold and Silver brothers watched Isa leave, their expressions unchanged. The Heavenhorn tribe was not far from the North Sea, and with Isa traveling at full speed, she would definitely make it on time. Although her father had not explicitly said so, she faintly guessed that her father needed that 6th level treasure to prepare for the ant ancestors' shedding. Her father had always been extremely anxious about every shedding of the ant clan, but with his formidable strength, he had managed to get through each one safely. But this time was different. Io was facing the most chaotic moment in history. Empires were in turmoil, foreigners were causing trouble, a mixture of events were stirring up. And most crucially, from various pieces of information, it seemed that the winged tiger barbarian king was finally baring his fangs against their Heavenhorn tribe. This barbarian king had always been a thorn in her father's side, and perhaps this time would be a good opportunity for her father to eliminate the winged tiger barbarian king. After Isa left, the Heavenhorn barbarian king sat alone on his throne, the atmosphere lonely and somber, with killing intent filling the air. Chapter 1487. Winged Tiger, if you dare to come this time, the Ice Mountain Empress's words echoed solemnly, I'll make sure it's a one-way trip for you. The Ice Mountain Empress was a level 6 entity he had met 300 years ago while roaming the North Sea. Her origins were mysterious, she belonged neither to the barbarian tribes, the demon race, nor the foreigners. When they first met, the Ice Mountain Empress was gravely injured and under attack by the Black Beast Lord. He saved her life. In time, they grew familiar with each other, their relationship warmed, and they even became intimately involved, eventually leading to the birth of a daughter. That daughter was Isa. However, the Ice Mountain Empress had no intention of getting involved in the conflicts of the Io continent, and Isa was raised to adulthood by the Heavenhorn Barbarian King. The Ice Mountain Empress possessed a treasure within which was a very small ice sea space where she lived in seclusion, unconcerned with the affairs of the world. He planned to send the ant ancestor, which was on the verge of shedding, into this space and discreetly have Isa take it out of the city. At the same time, he intended to create the illusion that both the ant ancestor and himself were still in Heavenhorn City, luring the enemy there. When the time came, he and the Sky Jackal and the Laughing Hyena Barbarian Kings would spring their trap and capture the enemy in one fell swoop. Beyond Heavenhorn City, 10,000 li to the north. Isa hurried along. Suddenly, a spatial rift emerged around her. Her expression changed, and before she could react, she was sucked in. In the void, hermit runes flickered as Levi's figure appeared. My combination of stealth, absorption, and surrounding attack maneuvers has become more polished, he muttered to himself, finding a safe spot before entering the Holy Grail himself. 8 Heavenly Dragon Prison. The 3 dark forces represented by God Nick, the Black Lotus Beast, and the blood-sucking demon dragon had long since bound Isa, who appeared delicate and frail, and waited for Levi to pass judgment. The blood-sucking demon dragon even let out a sinister, chilling laugh, though where he learned such a laugh was anyone's guess. With the power of the 3 heavenly kings combined, suppressing any enemy below the primordial soul level was a simple task. Isa had never seen anything like it. She tried to contact her barbarian king father but found that her means of communication were completely unresponsive. "Where is this?" Isa asked in panic. Boom! The figure of a black-armored swordsman fell heavily to earth, cracking the ground and sending dust flying. He lifted his head, his expression placid as he examined Isa. Isa rebuked sharply. "I am the daughter of the Heavenhorn Barbarian King. What do you villains plan to do with me?" Although she did not pay much attention to outsiders, she understood that these methods were certainly not of barbarian origin. Levi chuckled softly. "It seems I've captured the right person." Isa questioned. "Are you a guest of the Winged Tiger Barbarian King? Did he send you to kill me?" Levi ignored her. He extended his palm and pressed it against Isa's chest, causing her face to flush. "You shameless scoundrel, just kill me if you dare. There's no need to insult me." "Master." Before Isa could finish her rebuke, the red dragon mark appeared, prompting her to call him master abruptly. Levi asked sternly. "What did the Heavenhorn Barbarian King want with you? What is the current state of the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant? Tell me everything." Isa replied. "Father told me to go to the North Sea to find the Ice Mountain Empress and ask for a treasure named the Ice Sea Pearl." After she explained everything in detail, Levi fell into deep thought. "I hadn't expected the North Sea to hide such a reclusive expert. The Io place is truly full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Apart from the 3 native great powers, there are quite a few level 6 existences like the Deer Head Sage and the Ice Mountain Empress, elusive as divine dragons." Levi asked. "What is the Ice Sea Pearl? What's its purpose?" Isa answered. "Master, I don't know. I was just doing as my father instructed. I guess it might be to help the Ant Ancestor shed successfully. The Ant Ancestor has a frost attribute, and the Ice Sea Pearl's name suggests it may be related." Levi nodded. Although he didn't know what the Heavenhorn Barbarian King planned to do, having Isa as an insider meant he could eventually figure it out. Levi did not delay Isa's mission. He let her go, saying, "Report back any progress to me at any time." Isa responded respectfully. "Yes, Master." After speaking, she transformed into a ray of light and sped toward the North Sea. Levi hid in the wilderness outside Heavenhorn City, cultivating and continuing to monitor the situation through the Gold and Silver Brothers. Days later, in his secluded area of cultivation, Levi opened his eyes and accessed the proficiency panel. Levi. Inferno Dragon Breathing Technique, Level 15, Maximum, Evolvable/Advanceable. The Inferno Dragon Breathing Technique has reached its maximum, but now is clearly not the time to refine it. Levi closed the panel and continued his cultivation with other breathing techniques. His preparation of the Death Ember Dragon's secret medicine was also complete, but the matter of the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant needed to be resolved before he could fully close himself off to cultivate. By his estimation, once his seclusion was over, it would almost be time for the decisive battle in Chaos City. That would be Io Continent's pinnacle battle, with dozens of level 6 beings gathered in Chaos City to take on the Supreme Archmage. The thought alone was exhilarating. However, Levi was unsure whether the ancient tower would remain open until then. If possible, he would watch the battle from a safe distance through the Crimson Contract, a risk worth taking. He had been coveting the Deer Head Sage's body for quite some time. To become a primordial soul level entity with the body of an oddity must be at least a Morning Star level, maybe even a Bright Moon level, though the chances are slim. Bright Moon level artifacts were already coveted by primordial soul wizards. Levi dared not set his expectations too high. North Sea. On the snowfield. Following her father's guidance, Isa successfully located the Ice Mountain Empress. She currently sat alone on the ice, like any mortal rookie, fishing by the seaside. Chapter 1488. The Ice Mountain Empress looked at Isa and asked, "Did your father send you here?" Isa nodded obediently and said, "Predecessor, my father asked me to borrow the ice sea pearl from you. With a jerk of her fishing rod, the Ice Mountain Empress hauled a 100-meter-long fish radiating immense power from the ocean, which leapt up and opened its enormous maw to devour her. She extended a fist as smooth as polished jade from beneath her sleeves, covered in layers of ice crystal. Boom! She punched out, and the giant fish was instantly frozen, immobilized. She held an ice blue bead in her hand, within which one could faintly see a blue ocean and miniature icebergs. This was the Ice Sea Pearl, as well as the home of the Ice Mountain Empress. The Ice Sea Plain. This plain was originally a small one, which only reached the standard of a medium-sized plain after the hard work of the Ice Crystal clan, and she, as the plain sovereign, advanced to level 6. But before she could enjoy the good days, her sweet dream was shattered by a level 6 malevolent being passing by. In her effort to protect her homeland, she fought valiantly, but the fragile Ice Sea Plain was left scarred and battered from their battle. The newly promoted level 6 Ice Mountain Empress was no match for the invader, and at the critical moment, an ancient tower spanning the land of darkness descended. She, the invader, and the entire Ice Sea Plain were drawn into it by a tremendous suction force. Upon awakening, the malevolent existence died on the spot. She was gravely injured, and parts of the Ice Sea Plain's fragments, along with its plain wool, inexplicably turned into this level 6 treasure in her hands, the Ice Sea Pearl. Inside this bead was a dying, shattered plain, its boundaries collapsing all the time. As the plain sovereign, she could feel its plain wool weakening continuously. No matter how hard the Ice Mountain Empress tried, she couldn't avert the inevitable. The path of a plain sovereign had the benefits of a long lifespan and relatively easier breakthroughs. But the price was that the plain sovereign would be bound completely to the plain, sharing in its prosperity and ruin. In fact, besides becoming a plain sovereign, many weak plains and warriors from alien races had no excellent transcendent paths to choose from like a wizard. Thus, the total collapse of the plain would also be the moment of her downfall. From the current state of the Ice Sea Pearl, she would fall along with the pearl in no more than 200 years. This secret was known only to her. So hearing Isa's request to borrow the Ice Sea Pearl, the Ice Mountain Empress hesitated. After a moment, she let go of her attachments and sighed. Take it. My life, too, was given by your father. Take good care of this object and keep it as a memento. Isa, not knowing that the Ice Mountain Empress was her mother, felt inexplicably sad upon hearing such melancholic words. Thank you, predecessor. We will return it once we're done. Isa had not expected that her mission would go so smoothly, and she quickly left, flying toward Heavenhorn City. The Ice Mountain Empress's gaze was complex. This child of Isa, half ice crystal and half barbarian, might be the last of the Ice Crystal clan in the multidimensional plane. On the wasteland, Levi learned that Isa had successfully obtained the Ice Sea Pearl and was heading for Heavenhorn City. That smoothly. Is the Ice Sea Empress really that amenable? He murmured. No matter what, it's time to see how the various parties will make their entrance, isn't it? Heavenhorn City. Beneath the city, 1,000 feet underground, a vast space opened up, resembling the square of a temple. In the center, there was a blue dragon ant 100 meters long with dragon's horns on its head. Around the dragon ant, chilly air surged, making the place an underground ice cavern with every breath it took. This was a sacred place for the barbarian tribes, where only the Heavenhorn barbarian king could enter. And today, Isa was there too. The dragon ant's breathing gradually came to a halt, finally falling silent as if it had died. Isa asked in confusion. Father! Isn't the ant ancestor supposed to shed its shell in 10 more days? The Heavenhorn barbarian king gently stroked the dragon's horns of the ant ancestor and said sorrowfully. Isa, that was a smokescreen released by your father. I was worried that someone close might be bought by the winged tiger barbarian king, so I deliberately spread false information to probe around. Sure enough, our Heavenhorn tribe indeed has a mole inside. In fact, the ant ancestor is to start shedding its shell today. I sent you to get the Ice Sea Pearl so we could pack up the ant ancestor and take it away quietly. I wanted you to find the Ice Mountain Empress because a decisive battle of life and death between our Heavenhorn tribe and the Winged Tiger tribe is inevitable. Either the Winged Tiger Barbarian King or I will be left alive, it's either his death or my demise. Although you possess peak level 5 power, you're still far from a Barbarian King. If your father dies, the Winged Tiger Barbarian King won't spare you either. Isa's expression changed as she replied. Father, you won't die, you are the mighty Heavenhorn Barbarian King. The Heaven-Horn Barbarian King said. Take the Ant Ancestor and stay away from the conflict for the time being. It's best to find the Ice Mountain Empress. Because she is your mother. Isa's expression was complex. The Heaven-Horn Barbarian King smiled bitterly and continued. You weren't picked up by your father. The reason your innate physique is frail and unlike that of a barbarian, and it isn't a curse, is because you are only half barbarian. The rest, you will understand once you find your mother. Isa's eyes glistened with moisture as she said. Father, why don't you leave with the Ant Ancestor? Let's leave the Northern Territory and fly far away. The Heaven-Horn Barbarian King took Isa's hand, gently sliced her fingertip, and let a drop of blood fall on the Ice Sea Pearl. Chapter 1489. Only your mother and you can use this item. Now, try to open the bead and put away the Ant Ancestor. Isa asked. Father, you haven't answered me yet. The Heaven-Horn Barbarian King suddenly burst into laughter, his voice shaking the underground palace. Isa, the men of the barbarian tribes, whoever they are all flesh and blood warriors of bravery. Your father is one, and so is the Winged Tiger Barbarian King. I cannot always lead our people to hide from the Winged Tiger Barbarian King. Besides, for this battle, your father is already prepared. Who will emerge victorious and who will perish is not yet certain. The matter is urgent, you should leave now. If you hear of your father's death, don't come back. Take the Ant Ancestor and your mother, and live in seclusion in the North Sea. If that Winged Tiger Barbarian King truly has what it takes to lead the barbarians out of this cage of heaven and earth, then it would be a good thing. Isa's emotions were complex, her eyes slightly reddened as she activated the Ice Sea Pearl. A crack emitting cold air appeared, sucking away the still Ant Ancestor. Her gaze was filled with sorrow, and she wept. The spirit of the blue sky will protect you, father. After speaking, Isa turned around and left the place without looking back. In the square, only the Heaven-Horn Barbarian King remained. He sighed and left the place, and when he reappeared, he was already on top of the city wall. He planted a spear that emitted radiant treasure light beside him, closed his eyes, and stood waiting for the storm to come. Under this oppressive atmosphere, heaven and earth couldn't stop trembling. After leaving Heaven-Horn City, Isa quickly disappeared into the wilderness, venturing tens of thousands of miles away. She arrived at a valley and spotted Levi, a figure in black armor sweeping back and forth like lightning. He was like a nimble eagle, turning into a cyan phantom. In the sky, it seemed as if there were hundreds of Levi's duplications. In the end, countless illusions converged and entered Levi's body. His shark-tooth-shaped sword swept out horizontally, releasing a cyan sword chi that sounded like a clear eagle cry. It crossed over the mountain ranges, pulverizing everything in its path and stretching for miles. When he saw Isa arrive, Levi stopped his training. While waiting, he had already refined the Eagle Divine Scripture to the 5th level, and preliminarily mastered Eagle Soaring over the sea. This move was very powerful, relying on movement speed to create thousands of illusions, followed by a strike as powerful as overwhelming waves. As Isa knelt on the ground, waiting for Levi to finish his sword practice, she held up a bead and said with her head lowered. Master, the Ant Ancestor is within the Ice Sea Pearl. Levi smiled as he took the icy blue bead, within which a miniaturized ant could vaguely be seen sleeping. He sighed in his heart and said, Ah, brother Barbarian King, I'm sorry. I will take good care of your wife and daughter in the future. He opened a spatial rift and took Isa in. Then, with a great tear, he pulled open the scarlet dark dimension, stepped into it, and disappeared without a trace. Without any effort or risk, the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant was thus obtained. Levi felt like he was in illusions, with an extremely surreal feeling. Before leaving the ancient tower, the last of his lingering concerns had been resolved. Whatever came next, would take its own course. As for the impending storm in the Northern Territory, it was no longer his concern. Half a month later, the Winged Tiger Barbarian King, along with the Tiger Ancestor, descended upon Heaven-Horn City. The Heaven-Horn Barbarian King, standing alone at the pass, said, So, you've come after all. The Winged Tiger Barbarian King laughed. Heaven-Horn, why not join me? Together, we can invade Chaos City and break this realm. The Heaven-Horn Barbarian King shook his head. Don't play these tricks. Since you advanced to the 6th rank middle stage, your determination to kill me has been resolute. The Winged Tiger Barbarian King let out a long howl to the heavens, and his tiger head-shaped sword thunderously slashed down. Ha ha ha, then let's battle! Roar! The tiger ancestor roared, shaking earth and sky, bringing a stormy wind that swept over everything. The Heavenhorn Barbarian King looked around and called out in a clear voice. Sky Jackal, Hyena! It's time to move! In the void, 2 more level 6 auras appeared out of thin air. However, the Sky Jackal and the Hyena turned their attacks towards the Heavenhorn Barbarian King. The Heavenhorn Barbarian King's expression changed drastically as he danced with his spear, struggling to hold on, and demanded. What is the meaning of this, you two? The Sky Jackal Barbarian King said. Heavenhorn, times have changed. Hard-headed old-timers like you only hinder the progress of the barbarian tribes. The Hyena Barbarian King said. Sorry. We have broken our promise. The Winged Tiger Barbarian King brought down his sword, roaring like a tiger, and the void cracked open. The Heavenhorn Barbarian King, though powerful, was no match against 4 opponents and was quickly at a disadvantage. Not long after the battle began, he had fallen to the lower ground. A few dozen exchanges later, he was slashed to the ground by the Winged Tiger Barbarian King, weak and covered with wounds. The Winged Tiger Barbarian King said sternly. Where is the Ant Ancestor hidden? The Heavenhorn Barbarian King remained silent. He grabbed his spear again and thrust forward, but the tiger head-shaped sword split it in two, and his entire body split open. With his formidable life force, the Heavenhorn Barbarian King did not die. A faint heroic spirit could be seen looking at the 3 men and 1 tiger that besieged him. You will never find out where the Ant Ancestor is, ha 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 ha. After speaking, the Heavenhorn Barbarian King's heroic spirit dissipated on its own, disappearing into the heavens and earth. Sigh. The tiger ancestor suddenly sighed. The Winged Tiger Barbarian King coldly said. Search Heavenhorn City. Now subordinates of the Winged Tiger Barbarian King, the Sky Jackal Barbarian King and the Hyena Barbarian King promptly began to search. In the end, they found an empty ice cave with vague remnants of level 6 chi. Damn it! Heavenhorn has already moved the Ant Ancestor. From then on, the whereabouts of the Ant Ancestor became a mystery, and so too did the daughter of the Heavenhorn Barbarian King, Isa. Chapter 1490. North Sea. The fishing rod in the hands of the Ice Mountain Empress suddenly trembled and then shattered. Her expression changed, disbelieving. How did he die? Where is Isa? To save time on his journey, Levi did not head to Dragon Palace Island. He thought of another paradise. The underground world. There, apart from a group of adorable black beasts, there were no other humans, he could cultivate in peace, waiting for the ancient tower to end. He arrived at the northern realm Rift Valley, through which he entered the underground world. Last time Levi hunted countless black beasts here. Years had not come, but it seemed that the population of black beasts inside had recovered somewhat. As he ventured deeper, that sense of danger began to linger incessantly. The underground world harbored some powerful lords of black beasts, with the level 6 thunder giant Shell mentioned by the Shell Demon Mistress possibly being one of them. He did not venture further, but found a secluded place to settle down and entered Fairyland. The 24 flesh mountains had already been packed into several hundred different storage rings. These were the deeds of the Holy Infant. Levi tried to open the Ice Sea Pearl within the Fairyland but discovered he couldn't. Upon seeing this, Isa quickly said. Only my mother and I can open this bead. Master. She took the Ice Sea Pearl, opened it, and cold air emerged from the spatial rift. Seeing this, Mana floated down from the banyan tree, saying interestingly. Fascinating. This rare treasure actually contains a dying shattered plane, and its rank is much larger than the ancient banyan fairyland developing inside of me. The ancient banyan fairyland was merely a plain embryo or embryonic form, not even a small plane. But the Ice Sea plane, nurtured by the Land of Darkness, had transcended the ages and upgraded to a middle-sized plane. However, within the Ice Sea Pearl, there was only a fragment containing the plane's will, which was incomplete. The other fragments had already become a part of the intersection points during the encroachment by the ancient tower. Levi's heart was ablaze. To think it's such a rare treasure. Say, Elder, can you absorb these plane fragments? Would it benefit you? Mana said. Theoretically, I could merge this plane fragment into the ancient banyan fairyland to make it part of me, which would accelerate the expansion of the ancient banyan fairyland, allowing it to upgrade to a small plane sooner. As I and the ancient Banyan fairyland prosper together, after it upgrades, it can also channel some power back to me, and my strength might have the prospect of breaking through to the level 6 middle stage. However, I currently cannot absorb this plane fragment because the plane will has an owner, meaning, this inconspicuous shattered plane also has a plane sovereign. Only with the approval of the plane sovereign, or by directly killing her to leave the plane ownerless, can I absorb it, otherwise, the plane would directly perish and turn into a dead plane, rendering the absorption useless. Levi suddenly understood and looked at Isa. Isa, puzzled, said. My father said, my mother isn't from the barbarian tribes. But from the Ice Crystal clan, could it be that my mother is that plane sovereign? The Ice Crystal clan, Levi hadn't heard of it, as many minor tribes in the multidimensional plane were as numerous as the stars, with only the tip of the iceberg recorded in the wizard's knowledge. Levi asked Mana. Elder, if this plane dies, then as its plane sovereign, Isa's mother would die too, right? He remembered the Flower Knight had educated him. The path of the sovereigns of the multidimensional plane seemed a shortcut and could easily lead to immortality, but the price was being trapped within the plane, like a canary in a cage, slowly boiled like a frog. Once the plane encountered a calamity from the land of darkness, it too would perish. For wizards, this path was an inferior one. Neither decaying with the sun and moon nor perishing with heaven and earth, transcending everything, is the true superior path. This was also the true path of truth or path of immortality that Levi pursued. Mana nodded. Yes, that's the case, though there are a few exceptions, but they are extremely rare. Levi then asked. If Elder absorbs this shattered plane, could Isa's mother still survive? Mana said. It's uncertain. However, I can transform this shattered plane into a secret realm of the ancient Banyan fairyland, turning it into a Vasalu's secondary plane for the fairyland. The will of the shattered plane would fade, replaced by a flicker of my will. Then, Isa's mother could become the master of the secret realm, becoming the sovereign of a secondary plane within the ancient Banyan fairyland. Of course, the price is that she would also lose her freedom, becoming a vassal of the ancient Banyan fairyland, forever bound to me. Upon hearing this, Levi was contemplative. Isa said. Elder Mana, I would like to ask how long this plane might have before it completely perishes. Mana said. At best 100 years, at worst 200 years. For mortals, it's very long, but for a plane, it's the moment before death. Which means, within 200 years, Isa's mother will die. Say, Levi, do you plan to save her? Isa looked towards Levi. As a scarlet servant, she respected and followed all her master's decisions. However, because of that trace of emotion in her bloodline, she also hoped her master could save her mother. Levi thought for a moment, his face helpless, and he chuckled bitterly. I would like to save her. But with my strength, if I were to contact and communicate with her, it would be far too dangerous. Mana said. This time I can take the initiative to help you. You just want me to make a move, don't you? Chapter 1491. Levi chuckled and said. If Senior is willing to help me, then naturally there's no problem. If we can't beat her, we'll just run away, and that's that. After all, Mana had already helped him several times, and he really couldn't bring himself to ask Mana to help him yet again. However, he had already guessed that, with Mana's kindness, she would likely take the initiative to help. Mana said. Judging from the state of the shattered plane's will, Isa's mother's strength should be at the beginning of level 6. I am confident I can control the situation, you need not worry, Levi. Isa was overjoyed. Thank you, Master, thank you, Senior Mana. Her mother's decision to entrust her with something so important to her own life meant that she had long been prepared for death. However, before setting off for the North Sea, Levi had even more important things to do. He had Isa release the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant from the Ice Sea Pearl. The giant ant seemed dead, soundless, its heartbeat extremely faint. Levi called the Ice Phoenix over. Upon seeing the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant, the Ice Phoenix's expression became excited, her breathing rapid and incredulous. She said. Master, you really did it. You snatched the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant from the barbarian king. Her chest heaved with shock. To her, this was an impossible feat. What she'd previously thought was too naive. Under normal circumstances, with her strength, not to mention contracting a dragon ant, she couldn't even get close to one. Isn't that ISA? Seeing ISA, the Ice Phoenix came to a full understanding. With Levi's terrifying contract ability, this task was indeed possible. Levi asked. Generally speaking, how long does the shedding process take for a heaven crystal dragon ant in hibernation? ISA said. It's unpredictable. The shedding of heaven crystal dragon ants can be divided into small shedding, big shedding, full shedding. A small shedding lasts about a year or so. After shedding, its strength improves slightly. A big shedding takes 3 years, and once completed, there's a slight improvement in realm. And for a 6-circle breakthrough to a 7-circle, it starts from 10 years. Given this dragon ant's strength, it can't be undergoing a full shedding, so I estimate it'll be short at a year, or up to 3 years. Levi breathed a sigh of relief. That's not too bad then, I have at least a year to try. I might as well go straight for the Scarlet Contract and see whether it works or not, leaving it to fate. The Scarlet Contract, theoretically, has no level restriction, and Levi had previously made a contract with Sorit, who was of a higher realm than himself. However, he was unsure whether the Scarlet Contract could succeed across the chasm of the primordial soul. Currently, he had 6 contract slots, and the Gold and Silver brothers had perished in the battle to defend Heavenhorn City. Conveniently, that left 2 contract slots open. He asked the Ice Phoenix to step back and gazed at the 100-meter-long giant ant in front of him. Its exterior was like an ice crystal shell, its thick limbs like columns that held up the sky. Despite being in slumber, the level 6 authority it unintentionally radiated still made Levi's expression turn grave. Come on, if it can't succeed, then after leaving the ancient tower, I'll leave it in a secret realm. Once my strength is sufficient, I'll come back to subdue it. With Mana's raid formation to back him up, Levi mustered his courage and approached the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant, extending his hand. Then, the strength of the Scarlet Dragon transformed into a slender scarlet giant dragon, attempting to penetrate the brain of the Dragon Ant. The next moment, a vague blue glow easily blocked the power of the Scarlet Dragon. Levi thought to himself that this was not good. He knew that a level 6 upper-level existence, even in deep slumber and unconscious, was not something he could easily shake. It was at this moment. From the sky, green branches descended, emitting a soft green light, fragrant and overflowing. The green light met with the blue light of the Dragon Ant, starting to clash. At this time, the Dragon Ant had not awakened, it was merely instinctively resisting with its body's muscle memory. However, the sleeping Dragon Ant was clearly no match for Mana. Soon enough, the green light broke through the Dragon Ant's blue protective glow, enveloping the Dragon Ant within. Seizing the opportunity, Levi's power of the Scarlet Dragon surged forth, infiltrating the Dragon Ant's body and penetrating its head. An ignorant consciousness began to resist instinctively. Feeling the pressure, Levi steeled his heart, and behind him in the sky, 6 majestic dragon illusions roared into existence. The world changed color, and ISA trembled all over. Is this giant dragons, so many giant dragons? Who exactly is my master? It is said that in the ancestral lands of the barbarian tribes passed down by the elders, there were tribes that used giant dragons as their giant beast totem. These tribes are known as dragon tribes. Each one is a colossal force, with barbarian king-level powerhouses abound. Accompanied by a shout. The powerful dragon's might was compressed by Levi together with the power of the Scarlet Dragon, branding it onto the confused consciousness. Immediately after, the resisting force was swept away by the dragon's might, receding like a tide. The power of the Scarlet Dragon quickly outlined the red dragon mark within its body. Levi's forehead was covered in sweat as he exhaled and looked at the fleeting tracking mark on the forehead of the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant. Gently stroking the Dragon Ant's horns, he murmured softly. Sleep, and perhaps when you wake up, you will already be in the new worlds. With the feeling of connection and control from the Scarlet Contract now flowing through him, Levi knew that the Scarlet Contract hadn't let him down. The Scarlet Dragon, forever a god. Compared to the strength that could break all techniques of the Crimson Emperor Dragon, the Scarlet Dragon seemed more malicious and crafty. The Scarlet Contract, truly the first divine skill of the Scarlet Dragon breathing technique. From the moment he contracted with Andrew, this contract had earned Levi commendable service countless times. He and Mana were like intimate partners because of the Holy Grail, he couldn't really command her. All along, Levi had relied on Mana's willingness to help to make use of her. Now it was different, he was the boss of the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant. Before reaching level 6 upper level, with the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant to guard him, his cultivation path would be much safer. He also possessed a sliver of power to leverage the upper echelons of the wizard world. Seeing the excited Levi, Mana couldn't help but say, "Are we about to leave here?" Levi replied, "Yes, it won't be long before you see the vast world outside the ancient tower, the boundless wonders of the multidimensional plane. Let's witness it together." Mana said, "That's great." After subduing the dragon ant, Levi let it sleep under the ancient banyan tree, watched over by Senior Mana, which gave him even more peace of mind. Contracting a level 6 upper level existence for the first time, one could never be too careful. The struggle on the level of consciousness with the dragon ant considerably drained Levi. He rested for several days in the underground world, and after his condition returned to peak, he headed to the North Sea. Chapter 1492 North Sea. The Ice Mountain Empress returned to this place, desolate and lost. She had gone to the lands of the barbarian tribes and confirmed that the Heavenhorn barbarian king was indeed dead. Her daughter Isa was missing, and the ant ancestor had vanished as well. She sighed despondently. "I am about to die, why should I worry about these things?" She had thought that by becoming a plain sovereign, she could live in peace and gain eternal life. Reality, however, had cruelly shattered her illusions. There is no turning back once the bow is drawn, the path she chose was hers to blame. Several days later. In the distance, two figures silently approached. One was familiar, it was Isa, whom she had been searching for many days. The other figure she had never seen before, he was clad in black armor, towering with a majestic masculine beauty. On his shoulders sat a blonde young lady, petite and voluptuous, her waist slender, her skin fair as jade, smiling sweetly, truly breathtaking. The young lady was Mana. Her pale feet rested on Levi's solid chest, it appeared she was used to sitting on the ancient banyan tree, using Levi like a tree, her feet fidgeting restlessly. Mana was now a projection of strength in the outside world, although unable to persist long, it was enough to protect Levi. If negotiations with the Ice Mountain Empress broke down, Levi could rely on the power of void travel to escape comfortably. Isa spoke in a complex tone. "Mother." The Ice Mountain Empress was taken aback, and bitterly said, "It seems your father has told you everything. What brings you here?" After speaking, she looked at Levi, whose strength seemed decent, probably at peak level 5, but he did not catch her eye. What truly made her wary was the blonde girl sitting serenely on his shoulder. This was a genuine level 6 being, exuding a very special temperament. She could feel that the other might also be a kind of plain sovereign, yet far more advanced than such sovereigns as herself. Because Mana was not just attached to a plane, she was creating planes, an existence like a god of creation. Mana's will, was the will of the plane. She subconsciously regarded Mana as a top figure, while the robust man in Levi's guise, was clearly just a minor follower by the side of a major figure. Isa said, "Mother, if I may be so bold to ask, are you the legendary plane sovereign?" The Ice Mountain Empress's face changed, and she looked towards Mana. Mana said, "Yes, I told her." In Levi's palm, a blue ice pearl appeared. The Ice Mountain Empress said gravely, "Did you steal my daughter and the Ice Sea Pearl?" Mana said, "Your Highness is mistaken, we are good friends with Isa. In contrast, we rescued Isa from the clutches of the winged tiger barbarian king, and we have been hiding her to escape his pursuit." Since the Heavenhorn barbarian king was dead, whatever Mana said was true. Though it was a deception, Levi had said, a benevolent lie is not a lie, for saving a life is critical. Isa said, "Mother, that's how it is." Hearing Isa's words, the Ice Mountain Empress calmed down and asked, "Tell me, what do you want from me? If it's to repay you for saving my daughter, I have nothing to offer." Mana shook her head confidently and smiled. "Not at all, we are here to save you." The Ice Mountain Empress inquired puzzledly. "Save me? But I am fine, there's no need for your help." Mana said, "No, your time is coming soon, you can deceive others, but not me." Behind her, a giant tree phantom manifested, as if the world tree had descended. You are the Queen Banyan." The Ice Mountain Empress did not concern herself with the affairs of Io, unaware of the dragon abomination, but she knew well the renowned Queen Banyan. However, she had never seen her human form. Mana said, "Correct, I am the Queen Banyan." I've seen your path as a plane sovereign, and your plane's will is nearing its death. You should know what that means. The Ice Mountain Empress fell silent. Indeed, I will die. But how can you save me? Mana said. If your highness trusts me, I have a way to save you, but there are some costs that I need to explain to you. The Ice Mountain Empress said. Please, Queen Banyan, explain in detail. If there truly is a way to be saved, I will make sure to repay your kindness later. The moral reputation of the Queen Banyan was impeccable, she wouldn't even deceive a mortal. As a level 6 expert, her ability to treat all beings equally was a rare quality. Thus, the Queen Banyan had a good reputation in Io, definitely trustworthy. Of course, there had been some moral slippage recently after the Queen Banyan was abducted by the dragon abomination. Labeled as the scoundrel couple by many, but the Ice Mountain Empress didn't know about this. Queen Banyan then explained her method to the Ice Mountain Empress. The Empress listened, her expression melancholic. The cost is to have the Ice Sea Pearl become a secondary plane within you. Mana said. Correct, it depends whether you can accept it. As a plane sovereign, you surely understand the consequences of this action. I am sincere with others, naturally, I wouldn't deceive you. The Ice Mountain Empress said. Please allow me to think for 3 days, I will give you an answer after that. Mana said. That's fine, I will wait for you in the North Sea. Levi had been silent from start to finish, leaving the place with Mana and leaving Isa with the Ice Mountain Empress. From the behavior of the Ice Mountain Empress, Levi was pretty sure that the matter was settled. No one wants to die, and it's better to cling to life than to die honorably. In fact, becoming a secondary plane of such a divine tree as Mana was something that many weaker plane sovereigns could only dream of. Chapter 1493. When Mana finally grows into a true world tree, these plane sovereigns can ascend with her, so why not? However, Mana did not disclose her identity as a divine tree. After all, Levi wasn't obliged to rescue the Ice Mountain Empress. He rescued her partly for Isa and partly because he could recruit a level 6 combatant. Success or failure didn't greatly affect him. 3 days later, the Ice Mountain Empress came seeking help. She began, Ancient Banyan King Mana. Please save me. Since arriving at the ancient tower, the feeling of her life ebbing away with the Ice Sea plane tormented her constantly. She chose the path of a plane sovereign for a longer lifespan. The Amethyst race was no longevity species and had a lifespan similar to that of humans, with a level 6 expert living just over 2,000 years. But as a plane sovereign, her lifespan approached 10,000 years. What did that signify? It was the privilege of legendary wizards. Now, in the prime of her life, which was just beginning, she faced death and naturally wasn't resigned. Having no choice, even though this would bind her to Mana, it was still the best solution. Mana gently landed on the ground and smiled warmly, Your Highness is probably younger than me, just call me sister. This is my friend, Levi. She lightly patted Levi's shoulder. Levi revealed a friendly and sunny smile, like a big-hearted young man. Greetings to you, Senior Empress. The Ice Mountain Empress said. You are too courteous, Sir Levi. Since you are Sister Mana's friend, we can just be peers. My name is Martha. She hadn't expected that this black-armored swordsman, who seemed like an ordinary person, was a friend of the ancient Banyan King. Could it be that he had some special talents? This combination was interesting. Isa approached with a beaming smile. Mother, let's go. We'll leave the North Sea, follow Senior Mana, and start a new life. Martha replied. Okay. Levi snapped his fingers and the space behind him opened like a curtain, revealing the fairyland beyond. Welcome to ancient Banyan Fairyland. Out on the Great Plain, Isa finally saw the true form of ancient Banyan King Mana. A towering gigantic tree reaching 1,000 feet high, with billions of branches like a canopy that obscured the sky and shaded the land. Even as a level 6 being, she couldn't help but be awed. The ancient Banyan King was even more extraordinary than she had imagined. Mana sat happily on a branch, swinging as she laughed. Rest here for a few days. I need to study how to safely refine and absorb your Ice Sea Pearl. Absorbing a plane is a major affair and cannot afford mistakes. Martha said. The Ice Sea plane will take over 100 years to perish, there's no rush for this. Following that, the two sisters discussed the forthcoming integration work under the tree. Levi left the North Sea and headed back home. Underground world. Levi found his retreat, set up an array, and then took out the ready-made Death Ember Dragon Advancement Potion, inserting it into his heart. His heart thumped vigorously, blood flowing like hot oil, started to refine the potion. Let's begin. Levi closed his eyes and started his retreat. Before the retreat, he learned through the round table that the ancient tower in the Land of Darkness seemed to show signs of closure, starting to buzz and tremble. However, based on past experience, it would take at least a year from the first signs to complete closure, which was more than enough for him to finish his advancement. Within the fairyland, the Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant rested peacefully in its cocoon. As time passed, the life force within it grew stronger, the blue radiance on its body surface more intense, and a thick layer of frost formed a cocoon that protected it. According to the Ice Phoenix's estimation, the dragon ant might need to return to the wizard world before it could awaken. In a tree hollow, Aya was immersed in cultivation. Her maturity and charm resembled a ripe peach, but her mindset was still like that of the big-eyed little girl she once was, a bit naive. It couldn't be helped, in a paradise like ancient Banyan fairyland, she lacked social interaction. This place was full of simple and unsophisticated creatures, yet to form a complete human civilization. In the future, once Aya's strength improved, Levi would send her out to face the world, to hone and grow. Only through such experiences could she truly mature. In the various element-rich lands, the rare plants transplanted by Levi thrived. The Saint Fruit and Dreamy Cloud Swamp in particular was nearing the time to flower and bear fruit. With the expanding area of cultivation, Dreamy Cloud Swamp would eventually become Levi's main Saint Fruit plantation. In the deepest parts of Dreamy Cloud Swamp lay a simple water mansion, marked Gui Chancellor's Mansion. The water elemental power around the mansion was incredibly dense. Top wizards from top wizard organizations would curse if they saw it. Such a perfect cultivation site given to a turtle, notorious for the slowest progression, was a waste. The water mansion was a dwelling created by Levi for Ratty out of whimsy. Ratty remained unmoving, his head retracted into his shell, enveloped by a misty blue energy. Clearly, he was undergoing an important phase in his turtle life. Days later, Ratty's head emerged from his shell, and his body had visibly grown larger than before. Moreover, the horn on his forehead became even more extraordinary, with waves of water shimmering and gleaming with treasure light. Ratty raised his head towards the sky, releasing an attack of water that resembled a crescent moon from his horn into the heavens, demonstrating formidable power. This was his first rank 5 spell-like ability. Water Moon Sky Charge. Chapter 1494. Haha, I'm rank 5 now, Lord Dragon King truly did not deceive me. Ratty happily circled around inside the water mansion. Thanks to the abundant resources and elemental power within the fairyland, as well as Levi's vigorous training, Ratty had achieved his breakthrough much earlier than anticipated. Levi had taken him under his wing 60 years ago when Ratty was already at the peak of level 4, predicting it would take around 100 years to reach rank 5. Now, just 60 years had passed, and he had already reached rank 5, cutting the time short by 40 years. Ratty knew very well what this meant. The regular blood tests run by Lord Dragon King indeed proved beneficial for growth. Otherwise, how could he explain such a miracle of breaking through in just 60 years? My achievements today are partly due to my own efforts, but more so due to Lord Dragon King's cultivation. In the future, I must repay Lord's graciousness. Feeling proud, Ratty left the water mansion soaring on clouds, patrolling his territory in Dreamy Cloud Swamp, while also tending to the Saint Fruit. After reaching rank 5, he was now keeping up with the other transcendent creatures. After all, Shrimp Soldier Pixar and Crab General Suogency had already reached rank 5 long ago. Being a sub-dragon himself, and also dragon turtle, he couldn't fall too far behind. Good things come in pairs. On the day of Ratty's breakthrough, atop a cliff, the offspring of Raja and Night Fang also hatched. A petite winged dragon, about a meter wingspan, sticky and appeared in the nest. It was primarily black, with dense black scale shimmering. Additionally, circles of blue patterns were wrapped around its body. It seemed to have inherited some common traits from both its parents. The newborn, after drying off the sticky fluid, approached the edge of the cliff and stretched its black wings to feel the wind rhythm. Then, the little one flapped its wings and spiraled upward. It suddenly accelerated, transforming into a shadow, and instantly entered the shadow dimension. Inheriting the shadow ability from its mother and the wind power from its father, it was a rare dual bloodline dragon species. Today, it's still very frail, not even ranking as a level 1 creature, but it already possessed basic self-defense abilities, and next, it had to face the outside world on its own. As for Raja and Night Fang, this forgetful couple had long forgotten about it. This is the nature of the dragon clan, to care for birth but not for nurturing. If it were in the outside world, the little one would likely perish. But this is ancient Banyan fairyland, Wanling paradise, a perfect world. One day, it could grow to become the sky overlord like its parents. Time passed. A new year arrived. Holy Brilliance Calendar 1231, month of beginning. This was the 66th year since the opening of the Dark Ancient Tower. This year, Levi was 241 years old. In his previous life, that would have been enough to witness the rise and fall of a dynasty, to see sea change into fields. But for Levi, it was barely akin to a mortal being 18 years old. So Levi's claim of being forever 18 was spot on. As long as my lifespan continues to increase, aging cannot catch up to me. Because Levi was still in secluded cultivation, this year's Twilight Nights meeting was postponed. Month of Germinal. Inside the fairyland. At Flame Mountain. An egg suspected to be an ash dragon's egg was recklessly absorbing the fire elemental power amidst the scorching realm. It was like a bottomless pit, making the elemental power of Flame Mountain boil. Yet, the life force inside the egg was not getting stronger but was continuously declining. No wonder those from the Thunder Divine Hall thought it was a naturally dead egg. Underground world. The site of Levi's secluded cultivation, a similarly pitch-black giant egg stood still. This giant egg was 3 meters in diameter, not covered in black scale but in strands like black flame feathers. The life force within was also continuously ebbing, seemingly heading toward death. Days later, the life force inside the black-feathered giant egg completely dissipated. A deathly, withered aura pervaded the area. But, if one were to carefully sense it, in this realm of death, one would find a singularity containing mysterious energy. Within the singularity, there was a ruined world, a great dragon clad in black feathers, with a slender body and a tail like a phoenix, awakening among ashes, ruling over all. As the giant dragon awoke, the singularity began to expand like the Big Bang of the universe. From death comes life, endless life force began to emerge from it. The ruined world experienced rebirth, all things revived, germinating. Inside the black-feathered giant egg, an immortal aura was rising. The surface feathers began to burn fiercely, turning into a sky full of ashes, filling the secluded area. Amidst the ashes, the shell of the black-feathered giant egg began to dissipate. Behind the patchy flames was a naked man with closed eyes, his body radiating a bronze glow, well-proportioned and strong. A pair of black wings enveloped him, and as he opened his eyes, the wings finally dissipated. Levi stood up, black armor emerging, and he stepped out of the ashes, closely feeling the changes inside his body. In the microscopic world within, billions of cells seemed to be filled with an immortal force. They were perpetually renewing, vanishing, and renewing. Such a terrifying metabolic rate, for others, would mean a brief lifespan. But for Levi, he relished this continuous cycle of birth and death. He spread his hands open, with 2 flames leaping within his palms. In his left hand was a black flame, and in his right, a white flame. With this thought, he swiftly vanished from the underground world. And then he randomly captured a lucky level 4 black beast. Chapter 1495. This was a colossal black serpent dozens of meters long. After subduing it, Levi's left hand turned into a black sword made of flames. The black sword pierced into the serpent's body. An aura of decay and death spread. The serpent's life force rapidly declined, its flesh turning to ash and scattering. Before its head was the only part not turned to ash, the white sword in Levi's right hand stabbed into the serpent's skull. Countless ashes fluttered like they were being rewound, swirling around the serpent's body. At the same time, a vigorous surge of life force burst forth, and the serpent's flesh visibly began to re-emerge. Moments later, with only its head remaining, the dying serpent was restored to its original state, identical to before. Levi killed the serpent with a wave of his hand and threw it into the fairyland to feed long, muttering to himself. Left hand for death, right hand for life, life and death are illusions, it all hangs on a single thought of mine. He observed the inside of his body. In each cell, black and white powers tangled ceaselessly like yin and yang fish. With a single thought, half of his body began to wither rapidly, decaying, dying, organs failing, turning to white bone, scattering as ash. With another thought, his body was swiftly restored to its original state, his flesh regenerated as if nothing had happened. This was his abnormal physique after reaching rank 5 of the Death Ember Dragon. Flesh and bone sprouted in an instant, from death to life. This power could be applied not just to himself but also to others. It meant that Levi could not only condemn people to death with the Death Ember Dragon but also save and heal them. A single person, serving multiple roles. But the abilities of the Death Ember Dragon after rank 5 don't stop there. With a thought, the Death Ember Divine Palace emerged from within him, projecting into the air. The palace, shedding ashes, landed with a rumble, standing tall before him. Behind Levi, the Nirvana Dragon Dharma form appeared. At the same time, ashes coiled around his body, eventually manifesting as a desolate, crumbling suit of Death Ash Dragon armor. This armor was adorned with black feather armor, with wings that covered the sky behind him, and tail feathers trailing, exquisitely gorgeous. At level 4, Levi had birthed the Nirvana Dragon Dharma form. This form, on one hand, could enhance Levi's physique and self-healing ability. But its predominant function was the second one. Nirvana rebirth. When Levi was on the verge of death, he could hold onto a breath and resurrect through nirvana. After resurrecting, all of his attributes would be enhanced by 10%. This skill was overpowered, but Levi had never used it before. Why would anyone seek death on purpose, after all? This ability was Levi's ultimate lifesaver, not to be used lightly. Now, however, it was a different story. After reaching rank 5, Levi birthed the Death Ember Divine Palace and Ash Dragon armor. Together with the Divine Palace and the armor, the Nirvana Dragon's ability finally found its use. Levi stood in the void, with the Nirvana Dragon behind him dancing wildly, roaring. At the same time, his Death Ash Dragon armor began to disintegrate, crumble, turning into ash. Levi's life force was also rapidly heading towards extinction, his presence quickly fading. Boom! With a loud bang, Levi's body exploded, turning into ash that filled the sky, a terrifying shockwave sweeping miles around, leveling everything. Even a fifth circle perfection wizard wouldn't dare face it head-on. Levi self-destructed. With his self-destruction, his entire presence completely dissipated. But in the Death Ember Divine Palace far away, a sudden change occurred. Within the Divine Palace, thousands of embers ignited, turning into roaring flames. In the midst of the flames, Levi was reborn through nirvana, his presence instantly returned to rank 5, and even stronger than before his self-destruction. The black armor and other divine weapons automatically emerged from within him. He appeared unharmed in the Death Ember Divine Palace. This is my first nirvana, all attributes enhanced by 10%. But after reaching level 5 of the Inferno Dragon breathing technique, I can undergo nirvana twice. Where is the limit of distance from the Divine Palace for my last chance? Levi left the Divine Palace there, entered the Scarlet Dark Dimension, and quickly moved away. After an unknown period, Levi finally reached his maximum distance, approximately 1,000 miles away. He sensed that to go further, he'd need to reach beyond the 6th rank of the Death Ember Dragon. He self-detonated there, turning into ash, disappearing into the universe, a mushroom cloud rising into the sky. In an instant, in the Death Ember Divine Palace, the second act unfolded. Levi was reborn from the flames, and on the basis of the 10% attribute boost he had just gained, he enhanced his attributes by another 10%. With this, the Death Ember Dragon really is amazing. If I could rebirth through nirvana hundreds or thousands of times, wouldn't I be defying the heavens? Of course, the 5th circle Nirvana Dragon can only resurrect twice in a short period, after that, the power of the Death Ember Dragon would be exhausted. If he died then, he would truly be dead. This combination of abilities greatly increased Levi's chances of survival. He only needed to set the Death Ember Divine Palace as his resurrection point in advance. Then, don the Death Ash Dragon armor and activate the Nirvana Dragon Dharma form. Whether he died from self-destruction or was killed by others, he could resurrect inside the Death Ember Divine Palace and gain an attribute boost. It can be understood in this way: the Death Ember Divine Palace is the resurrection point, the Nirvana Dragon is the number of resurrections, and the Death Ash Dragon armor is the scapegoat. Combined, these three elements meant that Levi appeared dead, but in reality, he always had a glimmer of life, waiting for a resurrection from the ashes. What an incredible power this was! It was the return to the city divine skill unique to gamers. It's no wonder that the Death Ember Dragon is a master of playing with life and death, springing forth from it. Wait, this Ashen Dragon egg, Could it be in the same situation as me? Chapter 1496. Levi felt a stir in his heart and swiftly returned to the ancient Banyan fairyland. Flame Mountain. Amidst the blazing flames, the black-scaled giant egg had completely lost its life force. Levi's expression darkened as he used his spiritual perception and found he couldn't penetrate the egg. After a moment's thought, he gently embraced the dragon egg. A remnant strand of the Death Ember Dragon's power emerged from within him, lightly covering the giant egg but not entering it. At that moment, Levi's consciousness seemed to enter a world inside the giant egg. He faintly arrived in a realm of utter chaos, where endless ashes fell from the sky. A giant dragon, whose wingspan stretched over 10,000 meters, circled the sky, eclipsing the sun. Ashen Dragon. As if eons had passed, at some unknown time. Surrounding the giant dragon, monstrous beings with ferocious faces and terrifying auras, indescribable in form, appeared. Nightmare creatures. Judging by these auras, they are all nightmare lords like the man-faced spider. With maniacal laughter, an imposing figure clad in blood-red armor, whose face could not be seen, descended. As a nightmare lord himself, this figure was not unfamiliar to Levi. Though he had never met it, its notorious reputation had long reached his ears. The Blood Rain City Lord, a level 9 entity. An overlord who dominates a part of the nightmare world. Previously, the man-faced spider and a group of nightmare lords had visited Blood Rain City to attend a congress. The Blood Rain overlord's arrival brought an onslaught of blood rain from the heavens, eroding the earth and sky. More and more nightmare creatures were born from the blood rain, swarming like ants, including the nightmare lords, who all advanced toward the giant dragon to tear and bite at it. The giant dragon roared furiously, sweeping thousands of kilometers with its pitch-black flames. Everywhere the flames passed, all the nightmare creatures lost their life force and perished on the spot. Only the more distant nightmare lords managed to put up a struggle. With each crack in the sky, more and more nightmare lords descended. Simultaneously, another level 9 nightmare overlord, whom Levi did not recognize, also arrived at this place, joining the Blood Rain overlord in besieging the Ashen Dragon. The Ashen Dragon fought desperately but was no match for the two nightmare overlords. Behind it, the battlefield was strewn with countless bodies, many of which resembled grey swordsmen like Owen's. However, these grey swordsmen were much more powerful than Owen's, with many above the 6th stage. Owens had said the Ash Dragon was one of the kings of their world. Besides, there were other beings similar to the Ashen Lords, all at least level 9 entities. Toward the end of the great battle, the sky appeared to split apart. An immeasurably large white bone claw, emanating an aura far surpassing that of an overlord, directly grasped the Ashen Dragon. Just as it was about to be taken through the crack into another world. The Ashen Dragon's eyes were filled with resolve as it exploded with a bang, scattering into the sky as ashes, never to be heard from again. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Truly a tough opponent second only to the undying bird, reborn through reincarnation, is it? Well, the bloodline shackles remain here, even if you are reborn 10 times you'll still be at level 9. If you resurrect 10 times, I'll slay you 10 times. A vast voice came from behind the crack, and the white bone claw withdrew. More overlords descended from behind, and the invaders from the nightmare world swept through this world with unstoppable force. Throughout the heaven and earth, the aura of one Ashen Lord after another withered away like fleeting flowers. In their place, various nightmare creatures began to proliferate. Levi awoke from the shock. He seemed to have realized the identity of this Ashen Dragon egg. It was the reincarnated egg of the fallen king from the Ashen world. Just as he had surmised, the Ashen world had indeed been invaded by the nightmare world. And it seemed that the nightmare world had ravaged it without any effort. The presence of so many level 9 experts implied that the Ashen world likely had level 10 entities, which meant it was a large plane. Yet, in the face of the nightmare world, it was utterly insignificant. In the end, Levi sensed a very tiny energy singularity within the body of the giant egg. Within it, a tremendous life force was brewing. Indeed, the Ashen Dragon egg is not a naturally dead egg after all. This is simply a necessary part of its hatching process. The fire of ashes, an everlasting cycle of life following death, this is its path. Ha ha ha, those ignorant folks at the Thunder Divine Hall, talking about a 1% hatching success rate, utter nonsense. Next, I shall hatch this egg, and one day, when it transforms into a giant dragon, I will show you what a legendary creature truly is. Truly, compared to this dragon egg and Senior Mana, all other resources Levi had collected within the ancient tower were insignificant. One is a surefire level 9, while the other may be level 10, sufficient to accompany Levi for a very long distance. Despite his joy, Levi began to worry. The nightmare world was far too formidable, not inferior to the abyss world in the slightest. According to the nightmare dragon's memory, the Blood Rain Overlord was merely an overlord of a fringe area. In that world, there were many stronger than him. And the owner of the White Bone Claw was clearly a level 10 entity. The nightmare world has already shown signs of invading the wizard world. If there's a large-scale invasion like what happened to the Ashen world, I wonder if the Congress can withstand it. However, Sauron, the strongest entity of the Pan Plane, might have left some countermeasures. Once I return to the wizard world, I must make good use of my identity as a nightmare lord and secure a fallback plan for myself. Though the Ashen dragon egg held life within it, it was uncertain when it would hatch. Levi could only wait patiently. Chapter 1497. After a moment's thought, he flipped out a fate coin. Unyielding silver seat, Owens. A flash of light later, Owens made a shimmering appearance, albeit in a miniature version. Levi exclaimed. A level 4 coin of life can no longer satisfy you? Have you been promoted to rank 5? Owens revealed a slight smile. Thanks to your blessing, I have been promoted for some time now. By the way, about the descendant of the Ashen King you asked me to look for, I have explored many places and have not found them. Levi said. Stop searching. Owens said. All right, then what should I do next? Levi handed him a large handful of coins of life. Help me gather information about the other Ashen Kings. And then, get stronger as soon as possible, your strength is too weak. Owens's face turned red, somewhat unconvinced. But I am a grey swordsman of the 5th stage. Levi lightly chuckled and swung his sword upwards. The void trembled, and a sword chi trace stretched for thousands of kilometers, leaving a ferocious wound in the clouds. Owens was dumbfounded, a bit discouraged. Damn it, why am I always one step behind you? He dejectedly returned. Levi muttered to himself. As the last grey swordsman in the Ashen world, possibly the only living person. Owens is not simple. He had summoned Owens through the ability of the Ash Dragon, and there must be myriad connections between Owens and the Ash Dragon. But he decided not to dwell on these thoughts. Levi went to the summit and convened the 131st Round Table meeting. The current situation in the human realm made him somewhat uneasy about the conditions in the ancient Saint Plain. However, from the reports of the knights, aside from the last 5th Circle Perfect Cave Wizard invasion, there seemed to be no other issues. Besides, some good news had arrived. The Golden Lion Knight had successfully advanced to a level 4 knight and had comprehended the bloodline Dharma idol swallowing heaven and earth. Despite the intimidating name, it merely involved using the bloodline Dharma idol's lion to engulf enemies in its belly for control and attack. Moreover, the Golden Lion Knight's path of the wizard had also reached the 2nd Circle Perfect and was preparing to advance to the 3rd Circle. His talent for double affinity was still quite decent. Thus, among the old generation, only the Goddess Knight had not yet reached level 4. Among the middle and newer generations of knights, there had not been significant breakthroughs, as cultivation requires time and patience. However, thanks to the barbarian combat techniques Levi had transmitted, which were gradually being converted into knight battle skills. The theoretical and practical levels of battle skills among the knights of the Twilight Holy Temple had significantly improved. This, along with the rapidly developing bloodline runes and talent branding methods, meant that the average strength of level 1 and 2 knights far exceeded that of the past. Some outstanding individuals could now confront wizards of similar realms. They'd likely be on par with average level wizards once they undergo qualitative changes at levels 3 and 4. The meeting ended. Levi, through the Scarlet Contract, sensed that the succubus Maria was also about to make a breakthrough. Unlike the Mind Flayers, she did not have as favorable conditions for cultivation because she was not part of the demon race, which made her progress slow. After consolidating his realm for a while, Levi inspected the growth of plants within the fairyland. Suddenly, a crisp cry of a young dragon came from the sky. A mini blue-striped black-winged dragon appeared around him. Levi extended his palm, and the little one landed in it. Ha ha ha, it hatched, what a good thing. Unfortunately, it has dual attributes of wind and shadow. I thought it might have the triple attributes of wind, thunder, shadow. Nevertheless, it's a brand new type of dragon, and from now on, you will be the first wind shadow-winged dragon in the world. Grow quickly. With a wave of his hand, the little one soared upwards, flying far away. Upon arriving in Dreamy Cloud Swamp, Levi was pleasantly surprised to find that the dragon turtle had also broken through to rank 5. Master Ratty finally pulls through one time. The source of Levi's golden snake secret medicine was relying on Ratty and the 3 earthquake dragon brothers. With Ratty at rank 5, it was greatly beneficial for his future cultivation. Inside the fairyland, life thrived, and countless beings enjoyed their freedom. Leaving the underground world, Levi hurried to Central Io. Now it was the month of grass. Not long ago, the Mind Flayers had told Levi that the demon race armies and various rebel kings had already invaded the central province. The Kane Empire had nearly fallen completely. At the same time, on the barbarian side, after the death of the Heavenhorn Barbarian King, the Winged Tiger Barbarian King ultimately unified the Northern Territory and declared himself King of the North. The King of the North, leading the power of the barbarian tribes, also entered the central province. Now, around the Supreme Archmage, there were only 4 non-betrayal Dharma Kings left. Others either died in battle or rebelled. About 30 rank 6s, holding most of the top strength in Io, were besieging Chaos City. The final battle had begun. Such a large-scale native fray naturally attracted the eyes of many wizards. The opportunists began heading towards the central province. Inside Chaos City, being ruled by the Supreme Archmage for so long must have accumulated plenty of resources and treasures. Once the battle erupts into chaos, even just a sip of the spoils outside would definitely earn a fortune. After the breakthrough of the Death Ember Dragon, Levi's ability to protect himself had become even more twisted. Now he even had Senior Mana and the deceived Ice Mountain Empress with him. He planned to observe a bit, to see if he could grab a share of the spoils while ensuring his safety. Chaos City. An oppressive atmosphere enveloped the city, with dark clouds as if there was no daylight. Today's Chaos City, like a devil's den, was gloomy and eerie. Around the city walls, countless well-trained mages stood in array, with archmages being quite common. Atop the towering Archmage Tower, the Supreme Eye watched over everything. Inside the Archmage Tower, 4 figures quietly stood in front of a statue. These 4 were the Earth Dharma King, Thousand Flames Dharma King, Qi Dong Dharma King, and Dishui Dharma King, representing the 4 major factions of Earth, Fire, Wind, and Water. They were some of the strongest among all the Dharma Kings. 3 were rank 6 middle stage, and 1 was nearing that stage. Legend had it that these 4 were the earliest followers of the Supreme Archmage. Now, with all the other Dharma Kings having rebelled, only they remained steadfastly loyal. Supreme Archmage, the Chaos Extinguishing Spirit Array has already been activated. Just waiting for those ignorant ones to step into it, and they will not escape their fate. The 4 Heavenly God Giant Soldiers are also ready, and can activate the Heavenly God Destruction Array at any time. The ancient evil demon suppressed under the Archmage Tower is also ready to be released at any moment. The Dharma Kings reported their preparations one after another. After listening, the Supreme Archmage said lightly, "These little ones really don't let one live in peace. They just had to follow the order I had set, but they chose to jump out and go against my will. Well, annihilate them all, this world needs a restart." Chapter 1498. Holy Brilliance Calendar, 1231. Month of Flowing Fire. Outside Chaos City, the vast wilderness stretched endlessly. Streaks of earth-shattering auras shattered the clouds above. Barbarian tribes, demon races, rebel king, and other forces gathered as if by prior arrangement, laying siege to the city. Atop the Archmage Tower, the Supreme Eye cracked open slightly, unleashing a powerful thought streaking across the space. A towering hundreds of meters tall apparition of a 4-eyed Archmage with the head of a human and the body of a snake emerged. The Archmage's gaze swept around, recognizing familiar figures. Blood Banquet Dharma King, Thunderbolt Supreme Mage, Ancient Tomb Law King. These former subordinates had now turned rebels. Besides these, several extraordinarily strong presences unabashedly resisted his authority. Take, for example, the Winged Tiger Barbarian King, who, as a rising star, rapidly ascended, defeated the Heavenhorn Barbarian King, unified the barbarian tribes, and now proclaimed himself King of the North. On the side of the demon race, hovering in the void, within the demonically somber Blackstone Palace, the Mountain Demon King, colossal and bloated like a mountain, patted his belly and grinned broadly, saying, "Little 4-eyed snake calling itself a god. Today, All lords have gathered for one reason: to slay the fake god and break free from the cage. The Mountain Demon King spoke insolently, ridiculing the Supreme Archmage as a mere insignificant snake, speaking shockingly without restraint. The Supreme Archmage, who had dominated Io for countless years across countless generations, was deeply revered, even by alien races. But the Mountain Demon King was no ordinary figure. He was the strongest among the 7 Demon Kings of the Demon God Temple, a powerful level 6 mid-stage fighter, and had reached this realm hundreds of years ago. The floating palace beneath him, a level 7 war treasure known as the Demon God Temple, could both attack and defend, akin to the war treasure of the Skyfire Fortress, usually serving as the demon race's stronghold. Unlike the Skyfire Fortress, the Demon God Temple, tempered by the blood of countless demon races and enemies, possessed even greater power. The Supreme Archmage, mocked, did not get angry, but laughed and said, "Am I a fake god? Do you know who I am? Before you walked the earth, I ruled over heaven and earth. I was the one who from the chaos carved out earth, fire, wind, and water, and set the laws of Io. It was I who maintained order and balance in Io." As the Supreme Archmage spoke, his aura was overwhelming, as if he truly were the creator looking down on all. Before his speech was finished, he was interrupted by the King of the North. "Pa, you're a load of crap. Since ancient times, there has never been any god in Io. Io is merely a prison created by powerful foreigners, and you are just a dog barking madly within it." As these words were spoken, countless soldiers within the various armies were left astounded. What? Isn't our Io the center of the universe? Why else would those foreigners come here at all costs? God Io is a foreigner. How can heaven and earth be a cage? Many of Io's big shots already knew some secrets of the world. However, most ordinary people and transcendent beings were still left in the dark. The Supreme Archmage said, "You think you understand the true nature of this world, but in reality, you do not comprehend. I have been protecting you. Since you insist on heading toward destruction, starting today, I will end this mundane old era and create a perfect new world." With a wave of his hand, the Supreme Archmage brought forth 4 figures representing earth, fire, wind, and water, standing at 4 different directions around Chaos City, emanating powerful auras. 4 different colored beams of light, reaching from the heavens to the earth, manifested a white-scale giant snake encircling Chaos City, its length immeasurable like an ancient python. In the hand of the Supreme Archmage appeared a staff shaped like a 10-layered ancient tower, the tip adorned with a ferocious snake head. 4 airs representing earth, fire, wind, and water coiled around the staff, converging into a chaos giant snake, with a pure and powerful dragon's might sweeping across the heavens and the earth. Chaos Ancient Serpent. Shaped like a snake, but in essence, a mythical level pure-blooded dragon. The ancient tower-shaped staff was called Supreme Scepter. Together with the Supreme Eye, these were the divine weapons of the Supreme Archmage. This was also the greatest reliance of the Supreme Archmage in his domination of Io. Inside Archmage Tower, 4 giant figures, hundreds of meters tall and of various forms, thunderously flew out of the tower. Each exuded an aura of level 6, akin to alchemical creatures, puppet creatures that were the enforcers of the Archmage. The surface of the heavenly god giant soldiers was rusted and scarred, as if they had fought through ancient ages, their terrifying aura frightening to behold. And beneath the Archmage Tower, there seemed to be a terrifying monster being suppressed, its deafening roars echoing from underground. This scene slightly altered the expressions of various level 6 kings. The Supreme Archmage, standing firm in Io for countless years, naturally had his trump card. Whether it was that apocalyptic array, heavenly god giant soldiers, or the monster beneath the tower, none were simple. However, in terms of number of level SIXS, the Alliance armies were far ahead. On the side of the Demon God Temple, all 7 Demon Kings were present, and they were supported by the level 7 war treasure of the Demon God Temple. From the northern barbarian tribe, 5 barbarian kings came, and though their numbers seemed fewer, do not forget, the barbarian tribes also had giant beast totems and several level 6 totem spirits, hidden strengths of level 6. With Thunderbolt Supreme Mage leading the other Archmages, there were also 6. And other level 6 alien race powerhouses, like the Deer Head Sage, accounted for 5. Thus, about 30 level SIXS laid siege to Chaos City. Chapter 1499. If even this could not secure a victory, then for the next 10,000, or even 100,000 years, there would be no hope of overthrowing the reign of the Supreme Archmage. Within the demon race's camp, the mind flayers led an army, watching everything unfold with tense excitement. Outside the battlefield, brave individuals of immense skill were stealthily hiding in the wilderness. In such a battlefield, with sixth circle experts as common as clouds, those daring to lurk nearby to scavenge were certainly skillful. However, the top wizard organizations, almost all of them, did not attend. Unlike ordinary wizards who had reaped much and did not need to risk more. In a certain wilderness, the Rust Dragon Wizard was hidden, meditating with eyes closed. The White Robe Wizard Association had disbanded, and he, a free spirit amidst this grand event, naturally wanted to join the fray. With his strength, by being careful and avoiding encirclement, scavenging would definitely not be a problem. In another place, another primordial soul wizard was hiding here. He was somewhat corpulent and was the Jacob Wizard who had appeared in the Black Pearl Wizard Market before joining the Starfire Wizard Academy. As an independent practitioner soul, he acted with caution. For safety, he did not venture above the 5th level to seek fortunes in danger but honestly collected resources at the 5th level. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven, as long as he did not disrupt the order and attack the weak, the ancient tower enforcers would not intervene. Besides this, several 6th circle experts with similar intentions were also hidden around, all harboring the intention to scavenge. These 6th circle natives surely possessed many valuable items, to scavenge from even one was to strike it rich. Compared to these 6th circle experts, Levi was even farther from the battlefield, having the mind flayers to gather intelligence at the front lines, thus needing not to get too close. He rested in a concealed spot. A great battle was about to erupt, which could end in an instant or persist for a long duration, depending on whether the disparity in strength between the two sides was too vast. So far, the battle power of the Supreme Archmage remained a mystery. No one had ever seen the Supreme Archmage take action directly. Always, the Archmages were sufficient to resolve issues. Everyone speculated that the Supreme Archmage must be a level 7 existence, else how could he rule over so many Archmages and stand tall in Io for so long? If the Archmage truly were a bona fide level 7 expert, relying on the Grand Array, the Heavenly God Giant Soldiers, and the 4 Great Dharma Kings, Levi estimated that the barbarian tribes and the demon race's ultimate fate would most likely be annihilation. Unless the barbarian tribes and the demon race could also bring out some stronger trump cards. You see, the Supreme Archmage was different from ordinary wizards. He was a spellcaster from the same chaos sect as Levi. Earth, fire, wind, water, lightning, frost, all major sects, all controllable. His battle power was not to be mentioned in the same breath as other experts of the same realm. Within the fairyland, Mana and Martha were also waiting under a tree for the war to start. During this period of acquaintance, the sisters grew closer, almost becoming best friends indeed. Because fusing planes took a long time, Mana planned to proceed with it after leaving with Levi. The Heaven Crystal Dragon Ant was still in slumber and shedding. Otherwise, with 3 level 6 hitters by his side, Levi would be even more confident in this significant final battle. Levi had instructed the Mind Flayers to keep a close eye on the deer head sage. He wanted to see if, should this old deer die, it could explode into a truth oddity. In the dark ancient tower, 9th layer. Unlike the 5th layer, where the Black Beast Lords were rare existences. Here, one could occasionally see various strangely shaped Black Beast Lords flying by. They were majestic, appearing like floating islands in the sky. In the history of the ancient tower's opening, only a handful had ever entered the 9th layer. Only 8th circle experts were qualified to step here, otherwise, they simply couldn't pass the earlier stages. On this day, 3 powerful presences traversed heaven and earth. Though they appeared no different from normal people, they seemed as if sculpted from the most perfect amethyst. They had dignified faces, exuding an air of unrivaled dominance. They were the amethyst race's 8th circle experts participating in the ancient tower this time. The leader among them was General Bogu, an 8th circle peak expert of the amethyst race. Apart from them, the rest of the amethyst race either died along the way or were stopped at the lower layers. These 3 were the last hope of the amethyst race. Their goal was not merely to gather some resources on the 9th layer. That would never fundamentally change the amethyst race's weaker position relative to the wizards. They aimed to enter the legendary 10th layer to uncover the greatest secret of the ancient tower. The amethyst saint believed that by entering the 10th layer, they could control the ancient tower. But since ancient times, no one from the amethyst race had ever entered the 10th layer. Even the powerful wizard civilization only reached the 9th layer. In legends, only level 9 experts might set foot on the 10th layer. Yet, level 9 experts could not enter the ancient tower, and due to the tower's laws, level 8 experts also couldn't advance to level 9 here. This was an unsolvable conundrum. The transition from level 8 to level 9 was a significant threshold. In the eyes of the gods, everyone before level 9 was a mortal rookie. After level 9, they stood shoulder to shoulder with demigods, comparable to Heavenly Father's angels. Some tried to use 9-level treasures or other level 9 means to breach from the 9th to the 10th layer but failed every time. Under the rules of the ancient tower, any other shortcut or level 9 power was suppressed to the level 8 standard. One of the amethyst race said. The wizard's strengths participating in the ancient tower this time are too weak, not even a competent 8th circle wizard among them, all just old, weak, or impaired, not daring to confront us. Chapter 1500. Another member of the Purple Crystal clan said. Indeed, there's not a single worthy opponent, they all run when they see us. It's truly boring. Bogu said. Wizards are like that, only daring to bully the weak. We are about to reach the final barrier, let me, Bogu, try and see, just how difficult this barrier, which has stopped all level 8 powerhouses of the past, really is. A member of the Purple Crystal clan at his side said. You, forged by the Lord himself into the strongest of the Purple Crystal clan, if even you cannot overcome it, then for 1,000,000 years from now on, no one in the multidimensional plane can hope to enter the 10th floor of the ancient tower. Exactly, I have a strong premonition. This time, we will definitely succeed. They were all level 8, but they were not on the same level as Bogu. Bogu was the embodiment of the Amethyst Saint, who had extracted his own original purple crystal and nurtured it in the Amethyst plane for 100,000 years before Bogu was born, starting directly at level 6. Bogu had already participated in the opening of the ancient tower twice. The first time he opened it, he entered the 8th level with the peak power of level 6, a record so rare even within the wizard civilization. Generally, the upper limit for a 6th circle wizard is the 7th floor. The second time, when he was already level 8, Bogu smoothly made it to the 9th floor. Unfortunately, at that time on the 9th floor, he encountered an 8th circle wizard powerhouse and was ultimately defeated, forced to flee in disgrace until the ancient tower closed. And that wizard obtained an exceedingly rare glorious sun-grade oddity. Now, 10,000 years later, Bogu had returned once again. He had long been able to advance to level 9. However, to fulfill the Amethyst Saint's goal, he continuously suppressed his realm. For 10,000 years, he continuously refined his sacred skills and combat techniques. 3,000 years ago, in the Land of Darkness, he fought against an injured level 9 Black Beast Overlord with his level 8 peak body and managed to retreat in one piece despite his defeat. Now, although he hadn't advanced to level 9, his strength had increased significantly. He believed that he, now considered the strongest under level 9 across the Pan plane, could definitely enter the 10th floor. If not, then what was the purpose of designing the 10th floor of the ancient tower? What meaning did it hold? Time passed unknowingly. Bogu and his companions arrived at a boundlessly vast ocean. According to intelligence obtained earlier, the entrance to the 10th floor was on the other side of the ocean. As level 8 powerhouses, their speed was incredibly fast, and they disappeared into the horizon in an instant. Some time after Bogu and the others had left, the ocean beneath, as if tearing away a curtain, rippled in circles, and spell runes flashed. An island stood firm here, and just now, the 3 level 8 members of the Purple Crystal clan had completely failed to notice it. Upon the island, wizard towers sprung up like bamboo shoots after the rain, and a large group of well-trained, powerful wizards emerged. Among them, there were many with the aura of a primordial soul wizard, including not a few 7th circle and even 8th circle wizards. Compared to others, these wizards, no matter the level of cultivation, were brimming with murderous intent, as if they had emerged from a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. After the fall of the Deep Blue Sage, wizards from the battle group emerged on the 9th floor of the ancient tower in the demi-plane. There were many Black Beast Lords on the 9th floor, and aside from wizards above the primordial soul realm, the others dared not stray too far from the battle group, which didn't allow them the opportunity they had imagined. Of course, the particularly strong or some fortunate ones truly made substantial gains and improved their strengths. It was as if, in a mysterious way, the ancient tower rewarded these soldiers. In the corner of these wizard towers, there was an inconspicuous blue wizard tower. At the top of the tower, a youthful, vibrant blue-haired witch stood with vitality. Her face calm, her eyes deep, filled with stars, she did not appear to be of this mundane world. She was none other than the North Sea fish Lucy, who is the reincarnation of the legendary wizard, Deep Blue Sage. A dark blue sphere orbited at her side, representing the original Deep Blue device. The voice of the original device sounded in Lucy's mind. "Lady, do you remember the central member of the Purple Crystal clan?" Lucy's lips curled up, her thoughts returning to the era 10,000 years ago. "Of course, I remember, claiming to be the strongest genius of the Purple Crystal clan, Purple Crystal Saint Child, Bogu, my vanquished foe," she confidently stated. The first generation Deep Blue remarked. "Indeed, it seems that the Purple Crystal clan still cannot forget about entering the 10th level." Lucy replied. "They are incorrigible. They can succeed." Within the wizard battle group, the 8th Circle wizards looked solemnly into the distance. One of the leaders, close to a grand wizard, said, "Those below the primordial soul realm, stay here under orders, led by 8th Circle wizard, Star Destroyer Kale, and the 7th Legion soul wizards to protect the base. All other primordial soul wizards, follow me. Whether we can leave the ancient tower or not, we must eradicate these Purple Crystal clan members here, to eliminate future threats." For certain reasons, Lucy had not revealed her identity as a reincarnated legendary wizard, nor had she informed the battle group wizards of their method of entering the ancient tower. She now mingled within the primordial soul army, waiting for the right moment. But the battle group wizards knew that if they hadn't entered here with ancient tower keys, the ancient tower, when closed, was unlikely to send them back. At that time, they would be completely trapped here, just like the natives within the ancient tower. Though the ancient tower was desirable, it was not home. For wizards who had seen the vast world, they ultimately had to leave this place and return to the wizard civilization. For more audiobooks, support me in Patreon. The link in the description.